we have a chance to set our sights towards our first match of the season. It's a battle for Texas. What's up, Matt? We're in a box together. We're in like... See, look at this. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at you. Look at the camera. Looking at you. Look at the camera. You, camera.
Yeah,
you, camera.
I can see you over there.
No.
You're on the corner of my wall. I have a picture of you just taped over there.
Great to be back, ladies and gentlemen. It has been 6 months in the making to be back here with our 4th season of the Overwatch League. Hopefully for many of you it is the case. And of course, the last time we saw the battle for Texas, it was an online affair as well, but it culminated in an unbelievable moment towards the end of the series. It was 3-2 in favor of the Dallas Fuel. Obviously, Dallas lead this record so far and have kind of swept Houston, even in metas where people thought the Outlaws would be stronger. Is this another case of people predicting for Houston to win and then having those hopes dashed?
Well, I think Houston comes in with a really improved roster, right? They bring in Happy, who I feel like is an underrated pickup. We talked so much about the tank line that the Outlaws have brought in. Happy in the hit scan role is massive. It allows Dante to play, just all of the heroes that he's great at. And then they retooled the supports, right? They get Crimzo over from the Dallas Fuel. And, in saying that the Outlaws have rebuilt their entire roster, Dallas, they have done the exact same, right? They basically send everybody off but Doha. They bring in basically, Paris Eternal core. They get Fearless from the Shanghai Dragons.
Lots of cash to get a team. I mean, let's be clear on that.
Yeah, I mean... a lot.
But on the other side of things, let's talk about the Outlaw starters here, because there was some speculation. Do we see Coach Jake in the support role? No, it's going to be Crimzo and Juby. Of course, Crimzo is going up against his old team. This Outlaws roster, I feel like it was rebuilt around Dante as the core of this team. Happy, of course, turning up with Dante in the DPS role is going to be impressive. Down the bottom as well, you can obviously see sort of where these players sit in our IBM Watson power rankings, and of course, Junku and Piggy listed in those, as well as Juby, because they didn't play last year. But this is a huge change to this team, and you can see why Outlaw stonks are so high as Junku and Piggy. They're kind of a package deal that came across from Talon Esports, Matt. Hopes are very high for this team. Everyone except Outlaws fans tends to think they're going to do well. Outlaws fans are protecting themselves in advance.
Very optimistic. I mean, the Outlaws fans are being very safe, right? They don't want to put their stock too high, which I think is kind of where the Dallas Fuel were, right? They put their stock really high when they got this team at the beginning of free agency, and then as all of the other teams got announced, it was like, oh well, there's a hole here in the lineup, a hole there maybe, and then now everybody's a little bit suspect on it. But I think losing Xe obviously before the season really hurts. We'll see how they go about replacing him, whether it's like adding another player or somebody on this stepping up. I believe they said they were going to add another player, but the tank line for this team really strong. I mean, you see where they ranked last year. Fearless and Hanbin are a really tough tank line to deal with.
Those two, I mean, they have really been in the upper echelons of tanks. The only tanks that are above them is like Smurf, Choi, Void, and Sato. Reasonable when you think about it here. These two teams are looking better than ever. Make no mistake, Texas fans, you have a proper rivalry here brewing, not to mention the fact that Jexa, of course, and Crimzo are going up against their previous teams on the bench. Of course, Rappel also will be going up against the Outlaws if we get to see him play. Our first map for this series, ladies and gentlemen, in this May Melee qualifiers presented by Xfinity will be Busan.
And I think early on in the season, Mitch, we get a look at what the teams are playing. So much we hear of scrims kind of all over the place, especially with the split in the regions. You hear different things from APAC, different things from NA. So it'll be interesting to see what actually comes to play today. What are the teams actually running when we get into the game? What I think a lot of us expect is like some rush-style comps with Reinhardt, Zarya in the mix, with the Lucio, obviously, getting in the other team's face. I think there's also the possibility that Dallas doesn't play that they play something entirely different. I saw an interview with Rush where he said that this team is talented enough for them to kind of create their own meta and set the meta in a way. So we'll see if any of that comes to fruition today.
Mecha Base will be our first round here on Busan. And right, I mean, look, Dallas Fuel are without their hit scan specialists. So the question has been for the last few days, does either Sparkle or Doha pick up that role, or do we see them try and play to their strengths? A classic for this Element Mystic sort of duo, like a Sombra Doomfist, something like that. Sombra Reaper, also reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking, is this team comes out and plays something around Sombra. When you don't have a Tracer player, or somebody you really kind of you rank highly as one of the better Tracers, No, they're most likely going to try and fall back on a Sombra play, at least early on here. No double bubble. Hanbin on the D.Va, so but a brawly composition nonetheless, right? With Sparkle on Doomfist and Doha on Reaper.
Dallas definitely want to get up close and personal here. It's going to be the Winston and D.Va mix up here, and the Outlaws are going to go towards a Sombra McCree after the early switch. There's a sim TP, and still, despite that early sim, Dallas Field get pole position, so to speak, as the Outlaws start to back up. They get that Reinhardt, that wide load, and Sparkle into the back line already. Seismic uppercut and shut down early.
Yes, the Immortality Field comes out playing up on that high ground as you're just trying to get Happy set up on McCree's. He'll take out two, and we know McCree, 225 HP now. Really tanky. Already can obviously stunlock people with a flashbang, but now much harder to dive. Even with not a ton of mobility on McCree, it's still, with that health pool and Immortality Field in the mix, becomes very difficult to take him out.
More of a bruiser now. I mean, his fire rate got reduced slightly as compared to what we saw from him sort of last year, but still, he's quite hard to deal with. Good start for the Outlaws, and they set Happy up to do a heck of a lot of the work. I have deja vu right now, because again, the Outlaws fall back to this bridge. They're getting ready, I'm sure, for Sparkle to make another foray in, and that's the flashbang from Happy.
Yeah, and they're just backing up. They're trying to get Sparkle to actually kind of commit. That's exactly what the Houston Outlaws want. They have a great composition to kind of deal with him once he gets close. Dallas, they had to make some changes, so they'll play May Doom here. This is kind of, you already see already, right? Who would be their McCree player would be Exy, but obviously not with the team anymore.
That's it. Happy now the only McCree on the field. Here's the EMP, though. It's a big one. Happy's able to find two as well with the Deadeye. Even before the EMP was a factor, he was able to get through the shields. Jungle with a fire strike on Hanbin after the D-suit there, and the Outlaws are dominating here. So far, these predictions for Houston seem to be bearing fruit as don't seem to be any real weaknesses on the side of the Outlaws right now. There'll be a self-destruct and a sound barrier for them in the next fight.
Well, eventually, for Dallas, they have to kind of commit to a fight. In Houston, they know that they can use the Lucio speed. They don't have to be the one that can engages. They can just run around the outside. That'll be a self-destruct over the top from Piggy. Connects with nobody. But the Outlaws getting very close to winning this point. Probably another fight with how things are going. You see, Houston just has to use the speed and get Happy on the high ground. Let him start dealing tons of damage.
Jungle looking at Fierce now. Does have an Earth Shatter available. Getting pressured, though, by Doha. Needs to keep that shield up. Immortality Field being deployed, but it can still be frozen. Sound barrier thrown down. And there goes Crimzo's Immortality Field. But Jungu was already felled. Dallas now down in numbers again because Happy is causing so many problems. Doha and Hanbin fall, and Fearless is bereft of teammates. Sparkle unable to really have an impact at all in this round, and now it's a matter of getting rid of the Reinhardt. Happy definitely dodges out of the way as the shatter comes in, and it is the Outlaws with a 100-0 statement round to start off Busan.
A dominating round. I mean, that round was not close whatsoever. So we'll see if the Dallas Fuel can adjust maybe the composition going into the next map, next round. But if McCree is going to be this focal in terms of the meta, Dallas is going to have to get really creative, or they're going to have a new player come in rather quickly. I would say too, for the Outlaws' point of view, many of the fans in NA probably didn't really get to see that much of Happy last year with him playing in APAC, but tremendous player last year for the Guangzhou Charge, really strong hit scan player. So Houston has gotten themselves a real dominant force here in NA who's going to be strong in that hit scan.
So far, the synergy as well with the tank line was looking very, very good in that previous round. Much more compact composition. Now the Outlaws will be playing Winston D.Va Dive. So we'll see a different facet of this team's coordination being tested now as Happy takes an early perch on the high ground, but will be contested. It's going to be Echo for both sides here, and Sparkle's on the Tracer.
So, but still, look at Happy set up on the high ground here, putting down the damage with the dynamite, able to push down Fearless from that high ground. He's going to be uncontested all game long, and because you have the Brigitte and the Ana in the mix, you just Biotic Grenade, you have the Shield Bash, being able to keep some of those divers off him. It's going to be really tough, and I want to see if Dallas ever goes towards some type of hit scan. Do we see them even try and put Sparkle on a McCree or a Nash, let's say? You obviously wouldn't favor him against Happy, but at least to put some consistent pressure on him at range.
Well, Dante might be punishing the lack of hit scan pressure right now for Dallas. There's really only Hanbin that can access the Echo unless Doha is able to hack Dante and clip those wings. Dante checks the field right now. Fielder could be in deep trouble though. Jungle gets a nano boost and it's too close, too personal for the Arna to deal with. Jexa also going to fall by the wayside here, and my god, the Outlaws just look that much better right now. And what a difficult assignment for Jexa on Brig here. Who are you really stopping? Maybe just Jungle or Piggy, but you can't do anything to Dante. Happy's too far away for you to deal with.
No, and I mean, once Jungkook's in, he has the nano boost. Your on is really low. There's nothing you can really do. The point actually did go to Dallas there for a bit. Sparkle with a back cap. But Houston just takes it back right away. See what Fielder decides to do with the nano boost. Probably on the Fearless, as he's going to try and dive into the back line.
Attempted to bite a grenade there. Looks like that was eaten up by Piggy, but the nano boost still connects, and Sparkle finds the pulse bomb. A lot of ultimates being used in this particular round as Harbin tries to self-destruct as well. Not able to get back in the mech either. Bob deals with that little deterrent quite easily. Sparkle on the point, really wants to try and pressure Happy, but it's a tough target to find, and Jungkook is making it painful right now for Dallas. Huge pick on Jexa, but lacks teammates. Dallas in the final moments with a big primal from Fearless is able to even the ledger, but they're not done yet.
But no, and Houston's going to be able to keep this point going. They're going to use the rally here from Juby. It's going to be a self-destruct from Piggy over the top. EMP from Dante is, he uses the Echo Duplicate. As even though that fight, Dallas invested so many ults, it went on forever. Not able to take it back. Houston with a fantastic job of stalling that out.
Still an EMP available here for Doha, and god, Dante almost had one there as well on that duplicated Sombra. Here's that EMP, connects onto 3. Crucially, Piggy now is actually out of the fight and can't boost back in for the duration of this EMP. Jexa pops a rally, deals with Jungkook. Uses double slaps, not very effective against the Winston clearly. Dante and Doha both fall down, and Jungkook gets hit with a big body grenade. Nicely done by Fielder there, and Jexa wants to try and run the rest of the Outlaws out of this town.
And if you're the Outlaws, you can reset. That's a pulse bomb that gets in there towards the end of the fight. But Dante will go to Tracer here. You know, you just need one fight to swing the map in your favor, and you have a nano boost. So expect to see Crimzone put that on to Jungkook. Jungkook go into the backline, really like how he was able to get to Fielder before, looking for that same type of play.
Dante, look at him, just trying to challenge Doha, force as many translocates as possible. And yes, both sides have nano boosts available here. Fielder doesn't need to build that ultimate, but still wants to take some pot shots at the Winston anyway. Hanbin also relatively close to a self-destruct here, and the Fuel want to control the high ground here and be able to drop down for free, but Dante sneaks onto the point, Matt. He's the EMP, catches 2. Hanbin goes for the self-destruct immediately, and Fearless, although he's hacked, gets a nano boost. Still able to do a lot, but can't prevent the sleep dart from coming through. He gets caught by that one. Now Primal Rage for Fearless, but there's some action on the point. Fearless is dealing with the bulk, though, of the Outlaws right now. Almost an individual effort really starting to shine here, but he gets hit with another nasty biting grenade. Needs to back away. On the point, Harmer's going to dash straight on in here. Pressure Happy away. They force to translocate, but we're 99-66, and Outlaws flip. The points are in overtime here, man. And Jungkook wants to make some space here with this Primal Rage if he can. Doha's hacked. He can't get away. Huge biting grenade connection from Crimzo means Fielder can't heal, and there goes Jungkook finally going down. This is about to turn into a bit of a brawl. Piggy self-destruct on the point that creates some space, but overtime's still not over yet, and Hanbin moves back onto the point. Little low on health, but Dante, pulse bomb doesn't connect. Eaten up there by Hanbin comfortably, and the Fuel have the numbers. When the dust settles, the Fuel are in control.
So Fuel weathered the storm there. It did not look good. Even though Fearless was creating all that space, Mitch, when we were watching with the Primal Rage, he wasn't able to get either support. Houston flipped the point. It got a bit scary there. But now one fight territory for the map. Crimzo with another nano boost for this fight. They may just wait again for Happy to be able to farm up this EMP.
Fielder can also send that nano to Fearless. He could, through that, build yet another Primal Rage here. Dante makes it risky, goes to the point, dueling a little bit with Sparkle now, who seems to be holding his own. People said that there's no Tracer player on this roster. Sparkle doing okay. Recalls, but is sitting close to the pack, and that's the pick. Fielder from across the map. The Dallas Fuel, they're in control, and they sneak back close to this second round. Happy has to translocate away. Rally needs to be used by Juby to even get to the point, but he's stuck with a pulse bomb and sent packing, and now we got ourselves a map. It's one apiece on Busan.
Houston just waited for so long, Mitch, trying to play around that EMP. They never actually end up getting it off. And like you mentioned, for all of the talk about Sparkle on Tracer, who's the Tracer player for this team, Dante we regard as a really strong Tracer player, and Sparkle holds his own in a big fight on the point. Gives Dallas an opportunity to win map number 1.
A huge turnaround for them as well. We saw Fielder able to cycle his nano boost into Fearless, who usually was able to build Primal Rage off of that. And once Fearless gets into the backline, Crimzo and Juby really have their hands full, especially when Jungkook's busy on the point, trying to contest it in some way or another. Dallas feel look much more comfortable there when it is a Winston Diva versus Winston Diva setup, but here's a point of difference now. Ball and Sigma for Houston.
We have seen so many different comps already. Sigma Ball here for the Outlaws.
Excuse me?
Not a ton. Yeah, what?
Never mind. Never mind. Accretion there.
It'll be a Zen and Brig for the Outlaws too. So you know, Mitch, come on. It's early in the season.
Yeah, it is. What's your point?
You can't be trying to throw jokes like that early.
Okay, sorry.
So you put Happy back on the McCree here. So not a ton of healing, like I mentioned, with Zen and Brig in the mix. But really, you're able to get the Discords down and just kind of blow targets up with the McCree in the ball.
Fairly early pick off there as well. Losing Fearless really just takes the wind out of Dallas' sails. So they just commit to the point, get themselves 10% and say, okay, well, by the time we've regrouped, it'll probably be 10-10, and realistically, it doesn't feel like we even lost this fight. Sparkle versus Dante. I mean, this is going to be quite the matchup across the entirety of the series, as the former has really proved that he can stand up to this matchup.
You know, Dallas had talked, Rush specifically, about that they didn't really feel the need to have like a top-tier Tracer player. That he didn't feel that Tracer is that OP in this meta, but I believe you're going to need a Tracer at some point in the season.
No!
It'll be Coalescence from Fielder, gets stuck by Dante, so not able to keep that Coalescence for much.
Not many ways to get rid of Moira. Burst damage during Coalescence is one of the few of those. And off the back of that, the Outlaws were able to clean up a fight. Dallas were banking on that healing and damage from Coalescence, and now they don't have it. Oh my, that's a backhand from Dante, and Spark gets sent packing. 45 to 10% here as the Outlaws looking pretty darn good with this Ball Sigma composition. Gonna be close now to Minefield, and there's a Deadeye on the way for Happy.
I was gonna say, you're able to combo some of these, right? The Gravitic Flux plus a Deadeye. You can also use the mines on the point. Prevent Dallas from just kind of rushing on in. Doha with the EMP. Let's see how he decides to use this. That's the Deadeye that comes out. No other ultimates used.
Fielder! Oh my! Gets taken down! You'd really think you'd be able to avoid that. Maybe he overestimated the duration of the defense matrix, or wasn't in a good position. Faded away, perhaps. Either way, that is a devastating result for the Dallas Fuel. Again, Fielder picked early in a fight.
I mean, at this level, you rarely see, like, the Deadeye be a huge impactful ultimate, especially getting somebody like a Moira who has the fade capability to get out of the way, but that's huge. Just using the Deadeye able to get a pick. Look at Doha, still kind of lurking behind enemy lines. Even if he gets his EMP off, as long as Jungwoo doesn't get connected by it, he can just use the mines coming in to help. And now it's going to be Crimzo takes out Doha.
EMP was activated here, so Juby goes down as a result. Fearless is able to capitalize on that with a Primal Rage, but Dallas have to use everything now, and I mean everything. Harbin goes down after being desuited. The Pulse Bomb finds its mark, but Fearless also finds his. He eventually gets rid of both supports, but he needs backup. That's where Doha comes in. Happy is down, but it's 99 to 10 here, and you can see it's a dangerous dance on the point. Jungwoo gets slurped down. The last of his humors are drawn away from him. And the Sigma are also out of the picture here. Dallas, they managed to hang on here, but it's really Fearless that sets up this fight by removing all the healing from Houston.
It's kind of oddly similar to our last point, right? For the Outlaws, it took a huge lead. Dallas able to take the point back, and then Outlaws kind of played around some ultimates that didn't work out. But this next fight, though, Mitch, they have a huge bank of ultimates. You're going to have the Transcendence Rally. You'll also have another Deadeye and a Pulse Bomb. This is really, Houston's fight.
Fielder, it could be a Pulse Bomb for him as well. They need to be careful. Rally being used there. Key Shield Bash applied to the middle of the fight. And here's the Coalescence. Fielder says, please don't bomb, please don't bomb, please don't bomb. Steps back. And it's going to be a Transcendency for the Outlaws. You said that they had a lot to use, but now they're forced to dig deep into those pockets. They got the extra healing from Crimzo. Dante stands on the point, and there's a good amount of armor still persisting from the rally. Happy's trying to keep a safe distance here, but Jexa is taken down now, and Dallas, I mean, they've got to try and dip a toe on the point, but they are in trouble.
So we'll see how anybody gets back to get a touch. It'll be Fearless who jumps on. Has Han been there with him as Sparkle now comes back with a Pulse Bomb, and that's huge. He's going to get two.
And it'll be two, but Jungwoo finds Sparkle with the nade here, or the minefield rather. Another! Oh my! Dallas have no choice but to walk into this minefield. They have to give the Cactus a hug. There's no other choice. The Dallas Fuel get run down now. Fielder is removed, and Doha can't touch. What a first map, but Busan goes to the Outlaws.
It's a really close map there. Map number one is A lot of people, I think, expected the Outlaws, maybe to kind of come in and roll over the Fuel. I believe Johnny even thought it potentially was a 3-0. But Dallas used a lot of interesting compositions. They brought out the May, try and close the gap. But Happy's McCree, too strong there in map number 1. I think we talked a lot about the Tracer for the Dallas Fuel and who's going to play that. I actually thought Sparkle really played well against Dante. I think what they really missed, though, is that McCree play.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, of course, Happy, I mean, already gained so many accolades for his performances on McCree through last year. We know that what he's capable of, and again, on the side of the Dallas Fuel, being able to answer that has been a little bit difficult. Map number 2, though, is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. Stay yourselves. We've still got plenty of Overwatch to come in this battle of Texas on the other side of the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Indeed, we help people get jobs.
Good day of Overwatch. New York kick things off with a bang.
Tuba manages to get rid of Masa.
Come on.
He'll get rid of Kodak. Do I see a Hawkeye?
Oh! Wait, what? Are you serious?
Oh dear. In the block. That's the Deadeye.
No.
Unbelievable.
Yes! Come on!
I don't believe what I have just seen. Raw. That is absurd.
That is exactly what the doctor ordered.
And despite their best efforts, the Chengdu Hunters are Chengdan.
Due to the K, he's charged up. There's another graviton surge. He doesn't even need it to connect. You'll fall by the hand of a former comrade. And 2 Decay.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Now your only damage is going to be a Genji, which isn't the most consistent in the world at trying to do damage, although I say that, look at Doha, just slow! That's the ghost attack!
5, the biggest one from Libby yet. But Izayaki will go down, but not before he can get that nano boost out on a Fearless, who is just cleaving everybody like a monster.
Longo as well, Battalion dies, and Sparkle! Oh my word, that's what we wanted to see.
I mean, let's be honest. We definitely stacked the opener for the Overwatch League with just 6 matches. This one delivering so far. I tell you what, you've seen Platchat's ranking, but how about another kind of bots rankings? This is IBM Watson's power rankings here, and you can see that Fearless and Harmon, I mean, we talked about it before, right? They're both in the top 10, 5th and 6th respectively. And I have to say, Matt, these two seem to be one of the main factors keeping Dallas in the fight so far, even if they don't get that first map.
They really are. And we saw Fearless in the Overwatch League, season 1, right, with the Shanghai Dragons, comes in like midway through the year. And then he goes into contenders and then back, and he has been a force since he's been back into the league. And Hanbin last year, a lot of people were talking about him as, one of the best off tanks in the league. Felt like he wasn't getting enough love with all of the praise for Sparkle and Xe that they got with the Paris Eternal. Now that these two players are together, they can really kind of play anything in terms of tank composition, right? We see them on the Winston Diva, tremendous there. You know, Hanbin, we know what he can do on the Sigma, Zarya. We do have a sub coming in. It'll be Repel in for Fielder, so Fielder will come out for map number 2. But tank line at Dallas really seems to be their strength so far.
And of course now, yeah, changing the support line here maybe makes you think that we see less Ana here. Obviously, Fielder has always been known for the Ana pick. We saw a lot of sort of Nano Monkey setups on that previous map. Of course, it wouldn't be the Overwatch League if we didn't return to Kings Row in map number 2 here, and perhaps some of Dallas Fuel's, reassignments here might imply a particular approach. Maybe we'll start to see them go for something that involves Lucio, maybe some sort of rushed-out compositions here. But, I mean, look, Fielder had a tough map 1. That is really quite a baptism of fire for a 2020 Overwatch League start. I mean, you know, he's using Coalescence, gets hit with a Pulse Bomb, gets picked off early, like the next fight as well. Tough one, as the Outlaws are doing a very good job of punishing the Dallas Fuel backline here.
I mean, with all the aggression coming in on Fielder into the backline, you know, there's only so much they can do to keep him alive, and there's no, like how I mentioned, like McCree at 225 HP. There's no big like DPS back there.
He's kind of thick in the offseason.
Who can aid in that brawl.
Right. He's been on that COVID diet, my man. Getting chonky. Mad respect.
McCree's gained a few in the offseason. Yeah, he's had some time to do so. This is a map where I think you'll see Rush. Like even when Rush is like not a particularly dominant composition, teams really play like Ryan Zarya, brawl it out on this map. You know, whether it's with Doomfist, like how you see the Outlaws right now with like a May Reaper, McCree also kind of brawly. So not surprised to see some of these maps come out, some of these comps come out here on Kings Row.
Happy on the McCree. I think we're pleased to see that, Matthew. It's something that we really enjoyed seeing in that map number 1.
Usually on Kings Row, you're worried about somebody on the other side potentially pulling out like a Widowmaker or an Ashe and outranging McCree. You don't really see. Is there a threat on Dallas where you would be like scared of the Widow or anything along those lines?
What do you think? Hangzhou
Hangzhou's
pretty good. I mean, Hangzhou can get headshots without even trying to aim at people, right? I mean, I'm just saying, there's a threat. Happy can be pressured at long range if Doha stays on the Hangzhou, and he will. So yeah, technically not hit scan, but still a decent threat at longer range as Dallas come out with Hangzhou Doomfist in the double bubble.
I mean, Hangzhou gives you the ability to, burst people at range. If, like, Sparkle goes in with Fearless, they put the shield down to try and battle. You're just able to put some shots in with the Hangzhou, but really nice Maywall there from Dante. Obviously, Hangzhou able to get over the top of it, Doha able to do so, but still, he's not able to put down some damage there at the beginning.
Outlaws, very compact composition. Their team setup is designed to brawl and benefit from the high healing throughput of Batiste. Sparkle, though, waiting at the door to give them a bit of a welcome, and nice way to separate Junggu from the rest of the team. This allows Dallas to extract and remove Dante early. 5 players now for the Outlaws to work with, and they are all spread like 4 wins here. Sparkle playing close to the doorway, punches away as he sees that amplification matrix thrown up, but Fearless living up to his name, playing nice and close to the post box.
And Happy not able to get over by that amp matrix, right? It's really for the healing, trying to keep the tanks alive as they lose a few players as Sparkle gets in close range. This is not what you want to see if you're the Outlaws. The Sparkle's Doomfist inside of the buildings here. But that's going to be a Dallas Fuel. It should be a point A take. So they really do a nice job of setting that play up. Houston felt like they needed to go up there, take the high ground back. And the first pick is from Doha. He's able to get a kill onto Dante as he had to step out a little bit too far. Like you mentioned, Hangzhou, you just kind of shoot the chokes with the arrows. You hit 1, maybe 2, and you're able to get a kill, and that's exactly what happens at the beginning of that fight.
The best part is it's a rising uppercut from Sparkle to actually knock Junggu off of the platform and then just remove the shield from the front of the Outlaws lineup. Houston have to play so compactly that if one of those key components is removed, like the Reinhardt shield, for example, you're a little weaker, especially more subject to the Hangzhou. Sparkle goes in, hacked immediately, trying to deal with the Sombra, and absolutely blown to smithereens there. Dallas sheepishly back away as their key tool, the Spearhead, is broken instantly.
And that was supposed to be a huge play for the Dallas Fuel. They invested a nano boost on the Sparkle. They thought that if they give him a nano, he gets a seismic slam around the corner, probably able to get at least 1 player. Didn't account for Dante coming back on Sombra, gets a big hack that stops Sparkle right in his tracks. So It's huge. It allows the Outlaws to stop the card here, as opposed to, you know, Dallas getting a really easy team fight where they would have had Grab Dragons to really take point B.
Okay, Dragon thrown out here. This is just to create a little bit of space, though, because, okay, Hanbin, it was the grab, gets eaten up by Piggy. He saw the D.Va fly towards him. So still the Dragons able to do some work, but is it going to be enough at this stage? Because there's a pretty solid shatter from Junggu, who backs away, and there's the EMP. It's everything being used by the Outlaws right now, and it still doesn't quite seem to be enough. Junggu is down, Fearless at the 4, and Piggy now is going to be removed. Sorry, Piggy, there's no extra damage on the remake quite yet. And that is a disaster for the Outlaws. Look at what they brought into the fight. They ate a grab, and they still get rolled.
Yeah, the Grab Dragon, though, from the Fuel was, like, so oddly timed. Like, the Dragon, you know, came out, the grab was a little bit after. It gets eaten, and they don't get anything with it, and somehow Dallas is still able to win that fight. As Sound Barrier invested by both teams as well during that, as Sparkle goes in again. Able to do some work here, going to Meteor Strike looking for the support.
Crucially, Sparkle doesn't get hacked. It was actually Jexa that got hit by Dante there, and I wonder if Dante really intended it to go that way. Either way, Sparkle was able to do damage now, and if you don't hack this Doomfist, you are going to get absolutely pounded. Piggy now trying to move up towards the carpet. I mean, he's going to be desuited pretty quickly. Doha doesn't have to do too much here. He sails it straight on in, and the Fuel have over 4 minutes for the last part of the map.
And they're going to have Grab Dragon for the next fight. Grab Dragon, no Sound Barrier on the other side. There will be Dante with an EMP, but could be a big combo here from Dallas to get the card over the line. It'd be a very good time if they're able to do so.
Hanbin needs to not have this grab eaten again. I know Hexagram somewhere is sweating, just thinking back to last year. That's right, buddy. Still living rent-free, baby. Hanbin, no in trouble. Gonna get jumped on. Here's the EMP, so no grab for the time being. Dallas forced onto the back foot, but here is the nano boost for Fearless. Repel picking up those Ana duties here, and they still go for the Dragon. Doha's able to find the kill on Junggu, who can't get away quickly enough, and Piggy's removed. Dallas used half of their kill combo rather, and they still have a big grab to try and get done. Here it is, into the back left corner. Hanbin saying, come with me, brothers. What? And Happy's going to find a double kill with the Deadeye. Obviously, Ant Matrix makes those skulls pop up much quicker, Matt.
Yeah, and he gets both players on the payload, so not able to get the card over the distance. That is huge there from Happy through the Ant Matrix. So next fight, still a ton of time for the Dallas Fuel. A really good push so far on the offense. Is Dante Sombra, it's been effective against Sparkle on the Doomfist, but still a few times where he's not able to get the hack off. Sparkle able to disrupt as Fearless goes down into the hole. This will be a wait now for the Fuel. Gonna try and maybe back up a bit.
It's like Super Mario. He just gets knocked off the edge.
Sparkle's just getting knocked everywhere.
Yeah, not ideal, but this is, I guess, what it looks like to get fed a taste of your own medicine, perhaps. Still, Dallas hard-fought control of that high ground. They do have it for the time being, which means that Doha now has a perch to pressure the backline. But Happy is still connecting these shots on the Doha, who's very close to another Dragon Strike here. Here's the Sound Barrier, though. It looks like the Fuel are going to get serious, but Fearless is shattered. It's a solo shatter. Junggu with the charge. Looks good, and Fearless doesn't have any time to primal. He's hacked after he gets charged. That is a change CC nightmare.
Poor Fearless. He gets hacked in midair when he jumps all the way to the back. So then he's just trying to live. Gets solo shattered. Gets charged, and then after he gets charged again, maybe he's like, okay, well, I still have some teammates alive. Maybe I'll primal, and he gets hacked before he can even do that. So man, times are tough there for Fearless.
I mean, I think the Outlaws have identified just how crucial Fearless is to the execution of Dallas's game plan. He hits into the back line here, and oh, okay. He uses the Primal Rage, even though he has the damage reduction already from their Nano Boost there. Curious. Hit with a Biotic Grenade now and has to be a little careful, but you know he's going to try and jump in when he can. Gets given a bubble. Junggu's in trouble. I mean, yeah, he's going to get knocked away there, and that shield finally is broken. Still, Junggu's able to stay alive at the back of the point, though, but Hanbin wants to grab. He wants Dante for dinner, and he'll have him. Piggy can't do too much about Hanbin being charged up on the point now. Defense Matrix doesn't do squat to that, and the Dallas Fuel get it done, but it costs them 3 minutes. 3 minutes is what it takes to get from point 2 to the end of the map.
Yeah, no magical Deadeye there from Happy at the end. See, he went for it. They recognized it straight away. But still, pretty good hold from the Houston Outlaws. Like you mentioned, that could have been way worse. He kind of add like 2 minutes and change to Dallas Fuel's clock when they got close to taking that second point. So Houston able to hold out for 2 minutes. We'll see what the Outlaws do on offense. Potential here for like a Widowmaker from Happy. have not seen Widowmaker obviously yet today, but Widowmaker usually always kind of sees some type of play here.
Happy's tweeted, he
on
tweeted at me
Happy's
that he thinks Widow's in a bad place. Okay, I'm not going to paraphrase it. He said buff Widow. She sucks. So we'll see about that one. He probably doesn't feel like she's in a great place. His McCree was, I mean, Happy was able to put pressure on Doha, who was playing Hangzhou across the map. So aim, not an issue for this gentleman. Were that a Widowmaker, that could have been a dead Hangzhou.
Widowmaker player Happy says buff Widowmaker. Everybody else says please don't. I die constantly to Widowmaker.
Oh,
so, oh, see you later.
It's just impassive. Maybe he doesn't realize what's happened, I think, until that comes up on the kill feed. But he's just like, yeah, this is another day at the office. See you later, Fearless. See you, mate.
So, ooh, this would be interesting. Pharah Widow.
Okay. Unpocketed. I mean, Dallas.
Pharah is an interesting pick because you know they're not going to play any like hit scan, right? I mean, it looks like it was just something that come out at the start.
Deep is still an issue, right?
Hangzhou comboed. Yeah. See, Hangzhou count with May in the mix here for the Outlaws. So the Hangzhou in play. May again for Dante here.
Sparkle says, I'm going to cover my eyes, and Hardbin, you're going to count to 10, and then I'm just going to go for this Doomfizz rollout, see what I can find. Happy. Similar to Doha in the previous round, playing at long range here, just trying to pressure Dallas from this high ground. Dallas playing a rush composition of their own now, switching off the dive. Almost one tick. This forces Fearless to drop, and Sparkle would love to get into the back line here. Doesn't really have the best way of getting in, and losing Repel is huge. That's the lion's share of Dallas's healing. Now it's off the table. To make matters worse, they throw up an ice wall, and Fearless has got nowhere to go. Ice in the veins, but not the good kind.
And not even the healing. I mean, obviously Baptista's a ton of healing, but you lose out on an immortality field, which is essential when you're trying to play these brawly type of comps. As Hanbin, he is in a world of trouble.
Oh, no.
And he's going for a ride.
Oh. Can I play again now?
I actually thought he was gonna take him to the point where he was gonna live like even through it, right? When
yeah, if you don't pin him,
Reinhardt, it just kind of ends the animation. Yeah.
He's just like, I mean, it's that meme where it's like the guy's face crying, but he's wearing a mask that has like just like a smiley face. Yeah, that's what it was right there. I don't think Hanbin was
team's yelling at him to reset, and he knows he has no control
like, what do you
over
want me to do? Repel from the higher ground here. You see Juby there. Repel opts to drop down here, I think, just to get the most value out of his shift, his AoE heal. Here comes that payload just around the corner. Jungie looking for a shatter opportunity here, but an Amp Matrix might be what he walks into if he's not careful. Have to watch out.
But I mean, look how close Dante is to the Blizzard, though, compared to like Doha. And then you're also going to have a Dragon here to even separate players. Like, you could use the Dragon to separate and then try and get a shatter off of it. That would be a play you could potentially set up
Hanbin's on the off angle, looking to maybe try and eat this Blizzard if possible. So, okay, a lot of windows here. And matrices for both teams. Dallas Fuel here to step back, and okay, those ults are traded to no effect.
See what they try. You see just Jungkook getting to the cart. It looked like, yep, here's the Dragon coming in from Happy.
Maywall. Dante forced to use Ice Block here. Jungkook still wants a shatter, still not convinced, and here's the Blizzard now finally coming out from both of them, actually. Wow. Quite the frosty reception.
Everybody's frozen.
Yeah, Doha steps back. He's able to get inside the Immortality field and behind the Shield of Fearless. So a lot of ultimates traded here. Is this Goats? Sparkle down. Self-destruct over the top here, and Jungkook still has the Earth Shatter. He might have a chance to use it. Knocked to the ground there. Looked like it was a mutual charge. Jungkook's still quite healthy, though, and he knows he can pressure Fearless without having to use the Shatter, and he saves it. What patience from this man.
I mean, you see everybody live through those blizzards with the immortality fields out. The Lucio's also try to use speed to get everybody out of the way, but they virtually come out at the same time. So both teams like just frozen in the same space, not able to do much of anything. But really good push so far for the Outlaws. They'll be happy with another Dragon Strike for the next fight. So you mentioned, Jungkook's still with this Earth Shatter. I mean, maybe you try and use like Amp Matrix, break the shield, force them around the corner, get a Shatter off. See what they decide to do. This will be an Amp Matrix that comes out from the Dallas Fuel first, and that's a Dragon eaten there by
Hanbin had to play quite close to Happy there. Might have been dueling on the high ground somewhat. Yeah, you see Happy just dropped down there on your top right of screen. Hanbin very pleased about that one. Here's another Amp Matrix, self-destruct, sound barrier for the Outlaws here and now for the Fuel as well. Sparkle still has a Meteor Strike, but crucially, Earth Shatters are available. Jungkook's able to find 2 with that one, but Sparkle has to get out of dodge. He pulls the plug on this and now will drop into the backline. That's very aggressive. Great Maywall. It stops the damage radiating out from Doofus' point of impact, but it's not enough to save Juby, who's on the wrong side of the wall and gets pasted to it.
So it'll be an aggressive push forward from the Dallas Fuel. And they almost have to kind of play aggressive, right? If they let Happy just poke at range with the Hangzhou, it's not going to be a good rest of the round here for Dallas. So they have to play close up. Sparkle and Hanbin and co taking the high ground. Is this exactly where the Outlaws want to push? What would you even use up here for the Outlaws to try and get out? I mean, you just kind of have to like brute force your
Piggy
way.
looks for
have Immortality Field around the corner.
Piggy looks for a knockdown. Happy looks for just some shield pressure here, and there you go. You force them off the high ground now. Maywall's thrown out by both sides. Fearless holding onto the shadow. Looking for it though, as Jungkook also wants to bait it out a little bit. Repel goes down early. Happy finds a headshot. He was looking for it the whole time, and Fearless is forced to just throw that shatter in, and oh my, it doesn't go well for Dallas at the start of the fight, that's for sure. Hanbin gets DMX finally. Crimzo is doing a ton of work in the back. Happy, yeah, he'll deal with Jexa up close and personal, and now he'll back up a little bit. Sparkle's still a problem, but Happy fights him with the Storm Arrow. Excuse me, what the heck?
Well, the fight happened so far, like obviously towards the Outlaws spawn, that the Fuel are going to have everybody up to fight on this corner. So although they lose, not entirely a bad situation. You're almost in the same situation you were at originally, where you're able to just drop the Ant Matrix, fight on the corner, and push them back again.
Time's starting to run out for Houston, though. They come into this phase with a similar amount of time on the clock. Great Dragon Strike. This forces Dallas to the right of screen. Fearless is able to get back over the wall. The self-destructs find nothing. Crimzo, though, flattened by Sparkle as he jumps on in, but that looks like a damage-boosted Fire Strike from Jungkook. Jexa just catches that one there. He gets a little bit more than fried tips on the head. And here comes the cart. Pushing in. Jexa has a sound barrier now, so the Fuel group together. They do not want to walk into this Earth Shatter now. I don't know if the Fuel have been able to track this particular ultimate. Happy's down early, though. That's big. A Shatter again from Jungkook. Doesn't find its mark, and here's the sound barrier.
Yeah, it'll be sound barrier for both teams as the fight kicks off. And Outlaws are trying to back up there, Mitch. They were trying to get Crimzo back in the action. He died early in that last fight. Even with those 2 kills, they kind of felt like they still needed Crimzo in the fight to push the pace there. But sound barriers from both sides, not able to get anything happening there for Houston on the offense. Blizzard here for the Outlaws. They'll have the Ant Matrix available here from Repel, and then a Blizzard as well from the Fuel. Dallas looking really good to get a hold.
Blizzard's available for both sides here. Hanbin again on the off angle, just hoping that Dante tries to throw it in. And that will be a disengage here for the Outlaws. That Ant Matrix stays alive for just a little bit longer here, and no one from Houston wants to peek lest they catch a Fire Strike. You see that Ant Matrix used as soon as they come around the corner. Jungkook's taking a bit of poke damage now, and into the back line comes Sparkle. Okay, he ends up with a Diva, not the target he wanted, so here's the Blizzard fired off, and Jungkook's caught. Can Fearless get there? He'll try for a Shatter anyway. There's no Ryan Shield active, and over the edge goes Jungkook. Jexa gives him a helping hand, and the Outlaws have less than a minute left to finish the map.
Big Shatter there from Fearless. Get some help, with the opposing Ryan stuck in the Blizzard. But still, big Shatter. Now, Piggy, he's going to get taken out right as he was trying to get back in his mech. So, coming back to this next fight, you'll have Ant Matrix. Dante goes over to the Sombra. Maybe just trying to get a hack on the Sparkle at the beginning. Get an easy first pick.
Jungkook, that's not good at all. 17 seconds left to the round. The Outlaws are lacking their main tank. Repel uses Immortality Field quite happily there, and Sparkle is going to be able to get back in their face. Another Ant Matrix. This is going to be impossible for Houston. They're going to have to pull off something huge to make this happen. Self-destruct catches Doha. He doesn't realize it was caught under the walkway. The jump into the backside, and oh my gosh, Dante's on the card. Repel knows it, so does Fearless. They're traveling back now, but Repel gets hacked. Dante's forced off of it now and has to translocate away, but here comes Piggy. The reinforcements step up. Sparkle, though, punches the mech, and that little Piggy's going to mark it. He's going to wrap around the backhand side, but he doesn't make it all the way. He's demeched. And the Dallas Fuel even up the series. They're bringing out the Rush Comp, and they look pretty darn good here on Kings Row.
And I tell you what, it was, I think, the aggression from Dallas, right? Once we started to see, like, Sparkle and the rest of the team play close, get aggressive with that Doomfist, and not let the Outlaws be the one who kind of dictated the pace of play, that's when you started to see the Dallas Fuel really take over. So if you're going to keep playing that Doomfist, as the maps go by, that's what you're going to need to see for the Dallas Fuel to keep getting these wins.
It feels like, I mean, especially on a map like that, especially where Hangzhou is still an option, that the lack of long-range hit scan potential for the Dallas Fuel doesn't really seem to hurt them yet, or at least it hasn't. Maybe in a world we get Widowmaker going up against Hangzhou, and maybe, you know, Hangzhou struggling a little bit as a result of that. It might be a different story, but coming into halftime, we are one apiece on the scoreboard. The Fuel bring it back and promise for a fantastic series to follow. Stick around, we got more from the Battle for Texas here, our opener in the Overwatch League 2021, after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Do you feel like something is missing? You used to be top tier, but lately you've been lacking that legendary feeling. Are your skins and sprays default? Overwatch League Perks by T-Mobile may be right for you. By connecting your YouTube account with your Battle.net account, you can start earning great Overwatch League perks, like League tokens to spend on legendary skins, as well as sprays and Overwatch League skins by just tuning into tournament matches. With Overwatch League perks, you can get back to doing what you love. Dumpstering randoms in Diamond. And doing it in style. Ask your doctor about linking your accounts today. Overwatch League Perks by T-Mobile. They make everything better. Isn't that right, Reinhardt-looking, yogurt-eating stock footage guy?
That's right, nerds. For opening weekend, you can earn 5 league tokens for every hour you watch and a spray designed by our very own desk host, Zoe Schwind, for watching 4 hours all weekend. 4 hours, guys. 4 hours. Listen, half of you probably watched Josh be terrible at Pokemon Emerald for like 3 times that length of time. 4 hours is all you need to do, all right? Attention spans at the maximum here and get yourself a fantastic spray. It looks awesome, by the way. It's Tracer and Wrecking Ball. Zoe had to actually go on record and say, actually, it's not me in this spray. It's Tracer and Wrecking Ball. But it looks awesome. You should definitely check it out.
Yeah, every time I think I'm like good at something, Zoe just
you didn't think you were good at that.
I'm like, okay, is there anything that Zoe can do better than me? And I think I've come to the conclusion no. We take a look at their Indeed player resume here for Sparkle. He's been huge in this series on the Doomfist. One where you thought potentially Dante would be able to counter him with the Sombra, and the last map, at least on King's Row, Sparkle was tremendous.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about maybe how this team's affected by a lack of a hit scan. We also know that Rush is like, we don't really, feel like we necessarily need like a star Tracer, you know what I mean? And again, the composition, the fuel, playing, it worked for them on King's Row. But let's be fair, this is going to be a close series. This is going to be an absolute slugfest. Fielder comes back in here for Jexa. We saw Jexa obviously playing a decent amount of Ana already. I'm like, it's a good time to be an Ana man. I'm feeling so good. Obviously, we saw Fielder play a little bit of that Moira as well. With limited results, but again, it's an unchanged lineup here for the Houston Outlaws. Dante showed us some of that Sombra prowess. Really made life quite hard at times to Sparkle, but he's going to need to keep that up as we head into Havana for our 3rd map.
And I want to see what Dallas pulls out here. To not play any type of like hit scan on Havana would be interesting. I can't tell you though. I mean, unless they play, what they probably do is play really close at the start, and then probably just take consistent fast fights on the corner.
Here was your map leaderboard presented by Xfinity. Some of the fastest times on Havana, and Fuel can boast one of those against Washington back in 2019. Yeah, before Decay. Calm down, everybody. 2 minutes 55 seconds in their time bank, and well, the Outlaws are on the wrong end of one of these.
Houston can boast for one as well. Yeah, Houston can boast for the top one.
We didn't highlight that because we're trying to be positive, Matt, but we may as well just point it out. Houston got
they're number one.
It didn't go well. 3 minutes 43 in the time bank for this map is extremely long, extremely large amount of time rather, because it's a long map, and honestly trying to get the last phase of the map done could be very difficult for attackers, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Obviously, like you mentioned it, some really long sight lines on this map, Matthew, and you feel like Dallas, if they're not going to go towards a hit scan option, do you feel like Hangzhou is still acceptable for them to try and play on the attacking side if they don't want to play super close, or rather, if they can't play super close early?
Yeah, probably. I think Hangzhou seems to be like you don't call Hangzhou hit scan. I think you just kind of like a medium to long range.
No,
like
it's
DPS,
literally it's
right?
pin the arrow on the opposition player. You may as well be blindfolded. I'm just going to be straight with you. You don't have to aim.
You do have to aim.
I've been hurt too many times, Matt.
Yeah, I can tell Hangzhou has been making you really raise some of your games. But it's so interesting. At least from the start, it looks like Dallas not going to play that close corner, and they're going to play up top with double shield. So Arisa plus Sigma, and then they'll have the Hangzhou for some long-range pressure, and then Sparkle playing the Genji here. So interesting composition for the Dallas Fuel. Houston, Tracer, Widow. As let's see if Happy's able to find any sightlines. Probably going to be under a lot of pressure from Sparkle.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Sparkle definitely needs to put this pressure on Happy, because if he goes uncontested, I mean, there will be problems for Dallas. Still, I mean, the double shield makes it a little bit hard for Widow to sometimes find purchase on those larger targets, but again, if someone's out of position, they will be punished. Dante already sort of driving a wedge between Dallas, if I'm honest with you here. You can see the off-angle Sigma, something we saw a lot of last year, playing together with both the Brigitte and the Genji. So Sparkle just looking for the best opportunity to go in here, maybe find a Zenyatta kill early. Kinetic grasp there. Okay, big deflection. Look at the damage on the front line of the Outlaws. They've got to back away for a bit, especially now they lost Dante.
Yes, Dante was on a little bit of a flank, just trying to find one player he could isolate, but Dallas literally splits their team in half. You have the Sigma, Brig, and Genji on one side of the choke, and then the rest of the team on the other. And I think Houston, when they got to the corner, they just didn't really know where they wanted to go. They had no idea where they wanted to put the pressure on. It's a little bit odd of a setup.
Happy, ever the trapeze artist, as he tries to get a high angle. Fearless cops a headshot there from Happy. And Dante now wants to try and compound the issue. Good quick healing there, thrown on towards Fearless, otherwise that could have been a problem. The Immortality Field had to be used. There's an Amplification Matrix in play, but despite that, Jungkook falls to Doha. Again, the fulcrum for the Outlaws has been removed, and Picky not far behind. Doha is ruining people on Hangzhou.
I mean, Jungkook tried to turn the corner, and you saw Doha there, like, wall climbing right above his head, just firing arrows down as Sparkle on cleanup duty towards the end of the fight. Is he'll have a blade coming in here, but Dante,
you don't lose these.
Still alive, trying to spawn camp Repel here, but I don't think he's going to win that.
Kind of respecting Repel there. I mean, Batiste, let's be honest, it's where all the soldier players, you know, migrated to after he struggled to sort of have impact. Now that's changed, but yeah, I mean, credit to Dante. I've seen plenty of Tracer players take that duel and try and eliminate one of those supports if they can, but he has a pulse bomb and he wants to have a chance to use that in the next fight. Maybe Hanbin is the option. Fielder goes for the rally, and it's not going to be a connection on the pulse bomb. Jungkook's gone down once more, and the Outlaws need to keep their ducks in a row. They can't even keep their tanks in the fight.
Only one with the blade, but still, it always feels good to see Sparkle pull out.
Oh yeah, I wasn't getting too excited.
You always expect big things to happen. Yeah. Once he pulled it out, I was like, this is going to be he. And then half the team was dead by the time he actually started to do stuff with it. So, happy with the change off of Widow. Like you mentioned, really difficult to kind of get any sight lines. Goes to McCrate. This will obviously be to help protect the team against Sparkle's Genji.
Picky down wants to pro. Oh my, that's a lot. The damage, the fire strike's too good.
Oh, the haul. Nice
Kinetic
haul.
Grasp doesn't do much against the Dragon Strike that has already matured. Great year on that one. Yeah, real fine stuff from the Dallas Fuel. And Doha now starting to take things over. Fearless having to move into less of a, I guess, a flashy role here on towards the four-legged Destructor. But again, there's no shortage of stars on this Dallas Fuel roster. Trust me, they were paid for.
Yeah, Piggy almost got away from that Dragon Strike, but a really nice halt from Fearless, even with the Immortality Field there, brought him right outside of it, enough to finish him off. As Gravitic Flux from Hanbin, this will be on a Piggy in the street. You see Sparkle there trying to put pressure on him. Nice Immortality Field to keep him alive. Not enough, though, as Repel will take him out.
Not enough for now. It's not available for the rest of the fight. Hanbin, maybe slight overextension there. They could have been really punishing for Houston losing the Immortality Field so early, but the Fuel try and double down, and Happy says, come to me. I've got the flash. I'm ready to deal with you. When Dante descends, the Fuel may have an opportunity here to go for another attempt at a hold, and this is the Outlaws' last chance to make real ground on this map.
So if the Fuel come out, you see they're moving towards that left-hand door. They'll be able to use Rally plus... Oh, that's a huge pick. But maybe you still use Rally plus Blade here if you get it. You know, you still have the Immortality Field to work with. That'll be the Rally. Let's see if they decide to invest the Blade as well when it comes.
Pulse Bomb used there.
Not anymore,
Fearless down. He may as well save some of these abilities. Sparkle actually died. He got taken down by the Deadeye and Gravitic Flux combo. The Outlaws came to play. They were ready to leverage all of the ultimates that they had to stay in the map, and it makes sense. They'll get a time extension, 2.5 minutes, and now we head through the distillery.
And we'll see how Dallas's composition works here at this stage of the map. I feel like Houston with the McCree now able to take some high ground. There's not a lot of open space here where Sparkle can like isolate a player and, you know, make a play, go for it. I think this is one where Houston's comp can have a little bit of an advantage.
And Matrix here, good kinetic grasp. This is going to allow the Outlaws to get out of that line of fire. They'll pick the left-hand side though, as it's going to be harder for Dallas to get any use out of that. Gigantic football goals that Batiste now has. Nice. I mean, that's a great Sonic arrow there as well. Sparkle, the blade, absolutely ruined. Looks like Discord Orb plus hold plus happy headshot. No bueno for Genji players.
And it'll be a bongo put down here from the Fuel. Supercharger up top, but with the way Houston's moving the cart here, there was really no opportunity to get any big damage off of it, as they had already like round the corner.
Gigantic chunks of damage here. Hanbin is completely out of position. Tough to play the off-angle Sigma when there's a McCree that creeps up on you. And again, it'll be the Outlaws to come forward here. That Supercharger finally been removed, but a lot of value was gained from that now. And the Outlaws, they breeze through the second phase of the map, pretty much erasing any of the issues they had early on. They set themselves up now, Matt, with a decent amount of time to try and actually finish this map.
Well, I mean, this part of the map, and then the last part is really where you can utilize like your hit scan and not have to worry about getting flanked in all the different angles from a Genji. Hit scan obviously very strong at the beginning part of the map, but a lot of avenues for the Genji to kind of isolate people, make plays. They were able to kind of split and make it difficult for the Outlaws to push. This will be Hanbin. Starts things off with a Gravitic Flux, nice Immortality Field, keeping them alive, and that'll be an Ant Matrix baiting them in.
I don't think the Hanbin was ready for that at all. The Outlaws really able to turn on a dime there, and now the pressure comes from the other direction. Piggy plays that high ground. Doha needs to respect these hyperspheres, otherwise he's going to be in a world of hurt. And in fact, they just feed in here to try and slow the Outlaws down, but the cart's been moving the whole time here as Dante is the conductor on this hype train. And will be Transcendence up for the Outlaws for the next fight.
And Happy goes over to Hangzhou, able to access some of the high ground here as you get towards the later portion of the map. So Fielder going to have a rally. They could kind of do what they tried at the beginning of point A, was to like rally and blade potentially. We'll see what they decide to do. It looks like they're just kind of waiting. Sparkle has to use the dash to get out of the way of that halt plus accretion. It looks like they're trying to build up this blade and play around
You have to temper your expectations because you're dealing with an Immortality Field and Transcendence, and you're down a player now. Doha gets taken down by Jungkook. Looks like a halt set that up. Nicely done by Sparkle to even things up and some as he heads into the back line. Both supports are down for Houston, and suddenly all that momentum, it's gone.
Yeah, all they had to do there was use rally. Even though Doha gets picked off first, they counter back with a rally, they push on forward, and they're able to get a fight win. So that's huge. Now you have a blade, although there will be a Transcendence on the other side. Still, the Dragon Blade able to make big plays, especially in the hands of Sparkle. Whoa, what is that? That is downtown.
I just got...
He
just got Tiger Woods down to the circle.
That is a 3-point range there for Piggy.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's like a March Madness game, isn't it? Unbelievable stuff. Sparkle, well, he gets the supercharger with the blade, so I guess that's maybe more than would have been expected in many cases. Happy on the Hangzhou now, causing problems for Sparkle, and the Pulse Bomb finds the mark on Fielder in the back corners. Repel cowering as the Outlaws, they've run out of time, but they're close to getting the map done. Fearless comes on in on the Wrecking Ball, but the Discord Orb means this will be a short-lived foray. And Sparkle cannot touch. The Outlaws, they break through just when they look like they may have run out of steam.
I gotta see the distance on that halt accretion again. I mean, that was, Steph Curry pulls up from 30 feet away. Piggy pulls up from, the parking lot. I mean, that was way downtown. It looked like the rock just flying through the air is it's tremendous. I don't think Doha had any clue that was going to happen. He's quite far away. The accretion comes flying through the air, and that first pick. That's 2 fights, though, in a row towards the end there, right? Where Doha got picked early. The first one, they were able to use the rally and stay alive, but that one not able to keep it going there for Dallas.
I mean, you have to judge the travel time as well of accretion. I think there was a halt combo with that. So
yeah, there was a halt.
I mean,
yeah,
that is still... You really have to understand exactly how long the halt is active for and how long it takes for that accretion to travel. Also, how much you need to lead. Obviously, you need to aim higher than you're actually intending for it to go. I mean, there's just a lot there. It's very complex. I mean, medieval engineers trying to siege castles in the old days had problems enough with it. And there's a shield in play as well. This is...
I mean, this is not... I mean, look at this. Oh, that is filthy stuff.
Okay.
So he's got to get Ben Troutman on the post. The longest accretion kill was. That may be it. The Outlaws on defense going to play really close. McCree with the May in place. Sparkle coming out on Doom. Trying to get an early pick off here. This will be really brawly tanky as Sparkle goes in. Immortality Field can't keep him alive. They deal with it rather quickly.
I mean, the sheer catharsis of seeing Doom be stunned and removed like that is causing me to potentially astral project. Dallas, though, are probably happy with this, though, because they get rid of Jungkook here and they're very close to the cart. So losing a couple players is frustrating, but they'll eventually be able to run the Outlaws out of town. That's a cowboy reference for those that are wondering. And they'll get the cart moving in time. It'll just be a matter of how much Piggy can stall from here.
Oh, you still got Jimmy there, able to stall Dante too, so you have Jungkook coming back as well. It's just kind of adding more time to the clock. He's going to get a charge out. Ooh, Dante not able to make it, but still, they're able to build up some ultimate charge on a Dante, have a Blizzard for this next fight. You'll have one for Doha as well. So a lot like how we saw in King's Row probably, but you know, the Blizzards come out, Immortality Field, maybe sound barriers, trying to keep everybody alive through that, and then Maywalls to split players off, try and get an early first pick.
Not a lot of poke damage here for Dallas, so tough to pressure Jungwoo's shield as he's able to move up pretty comfortably behind his little kiosk. Okay, I mean, that might help the poke damage a little bit. The fire strike through the air matrix doesn't find much, and the Outlaws reciprocate here. Both teams just peering at each other through these windows. That's a real COVID move if I've ever heard one. Dante, there's going to be a step out of the Blizzard still. Yep, okay, tries to get the freeze on Fearless, is able to connect it, but there's a sound barrier in play for Fielder here. Earth Shatter, no real connection there as the Outlaws are able to backstep a little bit now. Doomfist of Sparkle doesn't find its mark, and eventually something's got to give. It's Fielder is the first to fall. Happy starting to find these kills.
Yeah, Dallas actually worked themselves in a pretty decent spot there, though. Like, they had Doha with the Blizzard up, everything really used by the Houston Outlaws to get control of the cart yet again. They just had Juby's sound barrier to deal with that, but, you know, that Blizzard could have been huge if they didn't lose Fielder. Obviously, they need that, you know, speed boost. Get in close to the Houston Outlaws, as now we'll see from Crimzo, speaking of these. Dallas starts to push up. This will be a self-destruct over the top. This will push players around. Maybe now you start to use this Blizzard.
Oh, that Immortality Field is absolutely insane from Crimzo. Kept Jungwoo alive so long. Eventually it's removed care of the Blizzard, but now Sparkle has to do a bit of heavy lifting in the back line here. Eventually he gets rid of Happy. At that range, you'd better hope so. And the fuel, okay, they get towards the end of point one with a bit of extra time over Houston, but it was dicey at points.
But let's see them do it now, right? Where there's a little bit more high ground for the McCree to work on. He's not as easy of a target, you know, playing on the same plane as everybody else. So now the Outlaws can just really play up on the high ground around this McCree and see if Happy can start dominating the game.
Deadeye forces all of the fuel back. Again, that Lucio utility means that it's tough to catch people inside a Deadeye unless they're suspended aloft inside a Gravitic Flux or something similar. Doha, yeah, okay, respectful of the May damage here as Dante's keep him on his toes. Houston split a little bit here. And they got Piggy sat over the top and he's ready to catch maybe sort of whatever, really. Nothing big for Dallas. I don't know if the Outlaws have tracked an ultless Dallas Fuel so far, but that Maywall Fielder's not really sure where he is right now, and Dallas are still able to get away once more.
A few ultimates here from the Outlaws to just push the Dallas Fuel back. First it was a Deadeye with the speed boost, that time an Ant Matrix as Sparkle has worked his way up to the high ground, trying to go on a little bit of a rollout play here. That'll be the Blizzard from Dante.
And not many people from Dallas really get caught in that one. Looks like Repel is in there. Crimzo playing from a safe angle is able to definitely dodge the Earth Shadow that came down. In fact, all of Outlaws seem to be able to avoid it. But still, it's Sparkle getting rid of Dante. A crucial kill here. Dante must have been knocked up in the air and removed there by the fist gun. And the Dallas Fuel now have a sound barrier to bring into the next fight here. The Outlaws switch. It's Dante going over towards the Sombra. Sparkle's becoming too much of an issue for them.
Yes, this has really been their counter to the Doomfist when Sparkle becomes a little bit too much. As Fearless trying to take some of this high ground control. Jungwoo has to drop low as he gets really low, and that'll be the sound barrier that comes in for both teams, trying to keep up their tanks.
Yeah, it's a later sound barrier for the Outlaws, but many of their players lose that overshield quite early. Fearless is hacked, but he's standing inside an Immortality Field. Here's Sparkle into the back line. Once more, gets rid of Happy. Not quite the greeting that he was looking for, I'm sure. And this will put the Dallas Fuel now within spitting distance of the Outlaws as a result on this map. Maybe a chance for some stall here at the end of this second phase, but Dallas, once more, will be on the road.
Can you get another fight here if you're the Outlaws? You have Dante in the mix as he's getting closer to an EMP.
Your first play to respawn is
Will you get enough players here to get a touch? You're gonna have the Lucio though coming back.
Okay, Dante's here as well.
See, you might be able to make a play here if you're the Outlaws. Try and
Dante
get a touch.
doesn't want to be the first to the fight if he can help
sure,
it, I
yeah.
think. Hanbin able to stave off the hack there. Here's a self-destruct in the middle. Fearless trying to dodge away. He's actually able to use the card to block the damage from the explosion, but Sparkle's not nearly as lucky. The Outlaws come back in, and that's a 4-player EMP, and there's nothing Dallas can do about it. Now things get just a little scary for them as they go under a minute left, and they've got to get the card. Another 10 or so meters.
A huge self-destruct there from Piggy, able to take out Sparkle, and like I mentioned, they're able to get another touch. They tried to get a Maywall to split players off, you know, but really kind of isolate that left doorway. so they couldn't get through, get to touch the cart, but Houston able to get their main tank on it, Chengdu, and then the big self-destruct. EMP comes right after. They're able to take that fight. 27 seconds left here for Dallas. They do have some ultimates, though, to push them over the line.
This Blizzard needs to connect. Piggy will be looking to try and have that one for breakfast. Let's see if the Dallas Fuel have enough in their lungs to blow this house down. Boosted fire strike. Nothing from that. Harmony gets hacked on the low ground though, but Sparkle still wants to try and go in. He doesn't have the Diva's defense matrix for now, so he has to temper his aggression somewhat. And there's the Blizzard. Very much his owning ultimate, I'll be honest with you. But Chengdu goes down now. Deadeye from Happy comes up with absolutely nothing, and now he has to do it the old-fashioned way. Stand and deliver, as he needs to stand on the cart physically. He won't quite get that far though, as the Fuel are able to clean the Outlaws up and continue to play the map.
Not the worst thing though for Houston. They drain the clock there from point A to point B. Now only 1 minute and 20 for the Fuel to complete the map. Not a lot of time here, especially when the Outlaws, you know, you can push up, you can start to use some of your ultimates more aggressively, because the Fuel, they need to kind of invest everything into every fight to try and win it.
And Matrix, the wall's up there. Piggy has to use that defense matrix as well as he possibly can. Cart is on the move though here, and a self-destruct there just forces the Outlaws away. So big Lucio ultimates exchanged in this fight, but the Outlaws don't really want to fracas right now until at least Dante gets in there with a gigantic EMP. That is 6 players lights out for Dallas.
Oh, it's massive. I mean, all of the Dallas Fuel players have to play in this open space, right? You're playing a brawly type of composition, trying to get everybody to the cart, no push on forward, use the Lucio speed, and Dante will land a massive EMP, which stops Dallas right in their tracks. Is Houston Outlaws, they'll have a Deadeye to push people out of the way, same with a self-destruct, big ultimates here in this open space.
Chengdu down early, not a good sign for the Outlaws here. They may have an amplification matrix that can play, but they lack the defensive capacity to avoid this damage. Dante having to play around the little castle there. But again, it's really just stall, and they've managed to put Dallas Fuel in perpetual overtime. This is dangerous for the boys in blue. They have key ultimates to spend, but they step off the payload mat, and it's all over for Havana.
Yeah, and obviously a huge spawn advantage here for the Outlaws. They're going to be able to control the high ground. Look at Dallas. They take the fight right to him. Ant Matrix, you have the Blizzard coming in, as they know they cannot allow the Outlaws to set up on that high ground.
It has to be an immortality field for Repel to keep him alive, and that's probably a decent decision because there are teammates that need
Dante
healing.
With an EMP coming
Can he
out.
get to the point though? That's the question. Look at how far the Fuel are pushed up on that left-hand side, but here's the Wrecking Ball, another 5-player EMP, and Fielder gets blown up. He actually almost had a sound barrier available, but now the Lucio is off the table for the Dallas Fuel, and so made their odds of taking this round. Piggy just trying to keep himself scarce and not get frozen up if he can help it, but eventually he has to succumb to hypothermia. Happy trying to play around the edges, and a self-destruct here. The Outlaws don't have a shield tank in play, but still they're able to avoid the explosion. Another one for Dante, and the Outlaws, they have taken the map, and they get themselves in match point position there after a really competitive Havana.
And the EMP is huge from Dante at the end. Dallas Fuel, they realize they cannot allow the Outlaws to set up on the high ground. They push forward, they use the M-Matrix and the Blizzard to get control of it. They end up losing Sparkle towards the end of that on the Doomfist, but Dante knows that all he has to do is get a touch force OT, they come out on the Wrecking Ball, and he's got an EMP, connects with 5 players, everybody up there towards the end for the Dallas Fuel. Nothing Dallas Fuel can do to counter that EMP.
Houston Outlaws, they'll be taking a quick breather here, as will we, as we step aside for a moment. But Outlaws fans, be happy. There's a chance to break the drought here in this battle for Texas. The Outlaws are up 2-1.
Let's go, baby!
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
To beat the field would be really nice. I actually genuinely want to crush them. I think they're very overrated, and I believe in our team to be able to take them down. Here's a message to the fuel. There's no amount of money that can save you now.
I mean, Matt, let's be honest. Crimzo, obviously, it's pretty well documented that times on fuel for him were tough, and I'm quite sure he's relishing this opportunity. Also, the stab about the money balling, I kind of feel that, you know what I mean? No amount of money can buy you a win, or whatever it was that he said. That's nasty.
Well, look, it wasn't working what Dallas was doing, so you may as well try and just get the best team you possibly can. I mean, what other things could they have done, right? But you definitely feel like there's a little bit extra into this match.
I mean, and sure, it probably goes both ways, man. We don't exactly have, like Jexa and Rappel on tape being like, yeah, we hate you, Outlaws. But it's actually quite curious that we have these two teams that have such an established rivalry, and they also have a fair bit of cross-pollination between them in terms of players, despite how diametrically opposed their fan bases have been. So I'm sure that's probably an interesting conundrum for some fans to sort of deal with. But so far, I mean, this series has absolutely delivered. The players took a quick break, so they're getting back in their chairs right now. But really feels like, Matt, at the end of Havana, Dante causing so many problems on that Sombra with some really high-value EMPs is what stopped the fuel in their tracks.
Yeah, I mean, just the hacks from Dante are huge, but those big EMPs, right? That's what ends up winning them the map, especially that one at the end. We do have a sub, Jexa, coming in for Rappel here. We did see Fielder play some Lucio on that map. Now you actually see Jexa coming in. He'll probably play the Lucio, probably more of a full-time here. As the next map is Volskaya. Trying to get through those chokes. You almost need the Lucio, kind of mandatory in the compositions we see now.
I mean, when we sort of talked to Watchpoint at the start of the match, I was like, look, I really don't think that the tank line comparison is reasonable here. I think that Dallas are a little bit ahead in that regard. But I feel like, Fearless on the Orisa, we saw him, and then Fearless on the Reinhardt. It's a little bit hard for him to have that sort of same level of impact as he has on the Winston. How do you take the temperature of this sort of tank line battle so far? Who do you think's got the edge?
I mean, it's so tough, especially in these matchups. Like, there's so much that the tanks don't have control over sometimes, especially like when it comes to like May walls and, you know, Ant Matrix, Immortality Field placement. There's a lot, and even just kind of with Doomfist in the mix, right? Just general displacement. That when you're a tank, you're really kind of in the best position to succeed, and then you have to have a lot of other factors around you kind of go the right way. That also factor into your decision making. Really impressed with what we've seen from Jungwoo and Piggy, and also with Hanbin and Fearless. The way it's looking right now, these could be two of the better tank lines in it.
I mean, it's interesting to see such a variety, I feel, of different compositions when, you know, we obviously talked about this, and, you know, a lot of the word around the community was that we should expect to see sort of Reinhardt Rush and then double bubble compositions respectively, but instead we've gotten, you know, Winston Diva, we've also seen, you know, Orisa Sigma compositions. We're seeing everything right now.
I was going to say that too. We've seen so many different comps today. I was even thinking about when we were watching Fearless and he was in the spawn on Wrecking Ball. I was like, we've already seen him play Reinhardt. We've seen him play Winston. We've seen him play Orisa. Like, a lot of just diversity in terms of what you can play here. It's huge. As we see, we're waiting on Sparkle and Fearless to get sat back down. Then we can jump right back into game. But yeah, a lot of different compositions, not just Rush. It seems like Rush seems to be like the fallback composition for a lot of teams in certain situations, but definitely open to having more things in the meta than I had originally anticipated with what we
feel like we're seeing it also defensively pretty frequently, right? Teams really kind of want to have that Baptiste in the mix when they're sort of playing corners or trying to make use of that Reinhardt here, and, you know, especially for the fuel, we've sort of seen them mix it up and, you know, try and go for some more dive-oriented setups here. I'm just, you know, surprised. I thought we'd really only see the Diva with the Reinhardt, but she's getting a ton of play right now in general. And listen, I think a lot of people coming into this series maybe didn't know what to expect from Juby, or maybe underrated him slightly. But look, and this is one of the first, I want to say it's the first player who's come out of collegiate directly into an Overwatch League team. Now, I know Gator played in that tier of competition and was, you know, played a bunch of contenders as well. But Juby was, before this, was on Harrisburg University's collegiate team. Even before that, actually, was on Maryville's team, Saints. So you and I are pretty familiar with that particular school. We spent some time in Harrisburg, and we're a part of their collegiate sort of tournaments over there. And it's great to see more of these really fantastic incubators for esports talent. A big shout out to the crew over at Harrisburg University, who do a great job with their team. And you might remember Joe Meister from Season 1 of Philadelphia Fusion. He's actually coaching over in Harrisburg. So yeah, some real pedigree being invested in over there, and it's great to see sort of the result of that part of the path to pro in Juby now, sat there alongside the Houston Outlaws in Overwatch League game.
I was going to say, it's awesome to see that, obviously, you know, contenders is a great way to get to the Overwatch League level, where we've seen tons of players come from the contender system, but, you know, collegiate as well. That's another option. So to see players, you know, especially like Juby leading the way, there's a lot of other really nice players that we've casted when we've done some of the collegiate stuff. That'd be awesome to see them kind of, you know, push their career forward as a player into the Overwatch.
Yeah, I mean, it was like Akawa, who people may remember from Second Wind, who was, I mean, might still be playing on the Storm, but was definitely there at the time. So, and there are also pros that are retiring from the Overwatch League in some cases and go into these collegiate programs. So, just as an aside there, if you're wondering sort of what Juby's background is, you have it. And the point I was trying to make is that he really looks like he's standing up quite well. Had to play Brig on a couple of occasions. The Lucio looks really solid, matching a lot of these sort of sound barriers when they're required. And there's not really been any deficiencies that has been revealed so far to us in this game. So that's a good sign for Houston. They've really whipped this squad into shape quite quickly. Happy was like one of their first announcements, one of their first players I remember like called up to their roster at the end of last season. And maybe people just forgot. Maybe people just, you know, maybe focus a little bit more on the tank line pickup and the hype around that. But Houston look really well balanced right now. Obviously, Dallas less so, because we know they lack options in the hit scan department right now. Hastro tweeted that their hit scan replacement option is quote-unquote on the way. So Dallas Fuel fans, hang in there. Still looking just fine in this series, but you must win Volskaya and push it to a map 5.
So we'll see the Dallas Fuel on offense first. We've seen Doha Sombra in the past. A very good Sombra player. Interesting for the Outlaws, so they'll have Dante on the Echo, which we've seen, then Happy playing Tracer. So a Tracer Echo defense. This is a really aggressive dive composition. No Lucio in the mix, but you have this choke that you can just kind of play around, get aggressive.
How does Happy get any purchase here? Fielder can fade away, Jexa can boop Happy, Sparkle just gets, oh! Never mind. Gigantic Biotic Grenade coming out there. We'll have to keep track of how effectively he's able to remove these targets, because there's a lot of mobility on the side of the field. But Doha, somebody get him a life jacket. He's over the edge. Jexa at least is able to even the odds here, and the Dallas field really diving deep for these kills.
They're going very, very deep. The Houston Outlaws trying to back up, but the speed with Jexa in the mix now obviously comes in this for repel. Able to use a speed boost, they get them closer to the Houston Outlaws. Houston gets 2 picks though, as Dallas is backing up towards the point. They may be able to contest here. Dallas isn't even going to be able to get a tick out of this.
I think if there's a world where Fielder doesn't just randomly die across the map to Dante's primary fire, then they probably get more than just, you know, a little bit of a tick here. But that went wrong. I mean, it looked really good for the Dallas field, and then they took it a little bit too far. Happy forced to play the low ground now, and here's that coalescence from Fielder. No pulse bomb to interrupt it this time, but Fielder's looking for people to try and heal him. Maybe, I think Happy might have been on the flank. A duplicate for Sombra. This could be dangerous.
Yes, you're looking to get a really fast EMP here for Dante. He gets actually hacked up by Doha, so not able to get an EMP off, has to translocate, ends up getting the ability, not able to use it there towards the end. But Dallas, they do a nice job, Mitch. You keep pushing the Outlaws back. The issue is you know, once Dallas falls back to the point, Houston just takes the fight to them, and Dallas really has little response thus far. So now we're at 2 minutes on the clock for Dallas to make some progress here on point A.
I think in a longer fight, they'd be able to get a ton of value out of Sparkle. That's going to be the key for the Dallas Fuel here, to really punish Jungkook and Piggy for getting too close. And that's why they want to use this speed boost and the dive. This is extremely direct approach from the Fuel. Nothing subtle about it. Doha needs to stay alive here.
Yeah, they just back up Houston. Even if they give up 1 tick, it's not the end of the world. Does Crimzo have a nano boost?
This could be an issue though. Okay, rocket boost is available there for Piggy, so he's able to get back to safety easily enough. Fearless wants to create space and nothing more. He's not looking for environmental kills right now. And here's the EMP. This makes things a little bit harder for the Outlaws. They were waiting out that Primal Rage, but the EMP makes it so they can't really get to the point with any of that mobility. Piggy gets nano boosted more for the damage reduction than anything else right now. It allows him to stay alive for a time, but Dallas still, they spend heavily on their ultimates that they've done on this team, and they get results.
At that time, it works out. They back up towards the point, they end up using a Primal Rage. It works out in their favor. We're going to have Happy now playing Sombra for the Houston Outlaws on defense. Where you look at Doomfist, Doomfist really struggles against Sombra. Reaper does not at all. Reaper doesn't really rely on his kit to do damage, and that's a huge first pick out there on Jungkook. Dallas may be able to make something out of this.
A longer fight, Sparkle's able just to get that sustained damage onto tanks and punish, but the burst of Dante cannot be underestimated. Sparkle with 8 health and no one in range to heal him. Fielder can't directly interact at all with his teammate like this, and with Dallas so disparately split across the map, they may start to run out of gas. Yeah, Fielder doesn't have a fade at all there, and Jungkook picks the perfect time to dive in.
This next fight, though, is going to be huge for the Dallas Fuel.
Okay, I am seeing some twinings being dropped. There is definitely something there for Crimzo.
Yeah, a little bit extra on that kill from Crimzo. But Dallas, they have a ton of ultimates coming into this fight, Mitch. I mean, being able to use EMP plus Death Blossom, that's the only way that Sparkle probably won't die instantly from it. And then also Coalescence. 3 big ultimates you can use here for Dallas to try and take this point B.
That's a great coordinated dive.
Oh, that's
bad. Beautiful. Fearless and Sparkle just dive on Happy there. Easy pick off the Dallas field now. This is a good start for them. EMP used. Piggy still hacked right now. Dante gets a fantastic duplicate onto Fearless, so gets a Primal Rage. The stall here is very good, but still a tick was given up in the meantime. 3 players hit with the EMP right now. Fielder's still standing, but Jexa has been lost to the sticky bombs. And now Sparkle's Death Blossom might be a key factor. This is probably why he's playing from the causeway right now. And maybe he just tries to stuff this up the nose of the Outlaws. Jungkook, not a fun primal for him. And Dallas get the map done with 2 minutes, 14 seconds on the clock.
He doesn't even use Death Blossom during that entire sequence. Probably knows that as soon as he uses it, he's gonna get like, whether it's bash, slapped, hacked, really kind of anything. Used to take him out, but man, Happy was so close to the EMP, 96% when he dropped there, is that really almost kind of decides the point. Once that happens, Dallas is able to just kind of run through Houston and take point B. So 2 minutes and 14 on the clock here for Dallas in the bank. pretty good time there for the Dallas Fuel. Let's see what Houston pulls out on offense.
Dallas, I mean, we know what to expect from these dive compositions, right? But, I mean, to play a Lucio Moira with this dive is you're sacrificing maybe some of that sustained throughput that you get from like an Ana, for example, just for the ability to get right up in the enemy's face and have, you know, these big fights around Coalescence. So Dallas, it's not a balanced approach, right? It definitely tilts aggressively. Now, though, they mix it up. They're playing double bubble. Look, I love it on defense. Philadelphia Fusion are a team that have always had very good sort of Winston-based defenses in the past. You know, and look, you're dealing with Fearless and Harmbin here, so you've got two tanks that really understand just how much damage they can take before they need to get out. I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out here, but this is what happened to Doha.
So this is what happened?
Just
here?
off the map. He just pieced out. Just later.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Hey, it's the first game of the season. Everybody's getting the rust off.
I can see you. I can hear you smiling.
Let him be.
Okay. Well, Doha.
You can hear me smile. That is
yes,
creepy.
I can.
We are not in the same room, so I don't know how you're hearing that.
Smelling, Matthew. All right, to the high ground goes Jungkook.
And I just feel bad for you.
Listen, Quarantine has done a number on all of us, my guy. A decent start there for Dallas. You see the Fearless gets the bubble, plays that left corner. Jungkook, though, gets some advanced positioning, and Harmbin's forced to self-bubble. Jungkook just says, okay, I'll force that cooldown, that's fine. Doha, sticky bombs can be nasty in this part of the map now. Focusing Beam doesn't find the kill, but huge biotic grenade on a Fearless.
And this is what's going to be tough. When they bring in the McCree's really strong against Echo up in the sky. Though Echo, very strong hero right now. But when you try and dive and put some pressure on, all it takes to take out Fearless is like a shield bash. You have a stun that comes in. There's only so much the bubble can do from Hanbin. As soon as the Tracer gets inside of it, the damage from the Tracer, it's very difficult to keep Fearless up.
What good does it do if your Zaya is high charge, but you lack a main tank to sort of play off of there? Jungkook gets rid of Fielder as Dallas try and make an attempt at sorting this out. And Houston say, okay, we'll part with the nano boost here just to make sure we can secure this point. They do so. And that means it's a hefty time bank for Houston as they approach point B.
5:32. Pulse Bomb, Deadeye, Primal Rage, Rally in the mix. This could be a very, very fast time here for the Outlaws. Let's see how they decide to play this. Looks like they're going towards the high ground right now. Maybe trying to set up for a Deadeye to create some space.
Okay, Nano Boosted Fearless creates a lot of space that actually stalls this out pretty admirably. Enough time for Dallas to get some of those cooldowns on the line. Here it is. Fearless goes in, Nano Boosted. Look how quickly their ultimate percentage ticks up. They are feeding the Primal Rage with the Nano Boost, and Sparkle dives in as well. Doesn't commit quite as deeply as you maybe see Dante do. He has a Pulse Bomb, but he wants to hold on to it for the time being. This is quite the matchup to behold now. Again, Sparkle and Dante butt heads as they play on the periphery, but Houston has to back away. That's Jungkook using a dive, a jump defensively to get out.
There's a huge sleep from Fielder. We didn't actually catch it, but Jungkook uses Primal Rage and jumps into the backline, trying to make a play on a Fielder up on the high ground and hits him with a sleep dart. So really nice play there from Fielder. So that could have been something where the Outlaws are trying to get the Winston into the back, cause some chaos, and push off the back.
Doha duplicates a Winston as well. Gets Primal Rage, doesn't really have the time to make any use of it. And here's the Graviton Surge now. Harmbin's going to float one out. Deadeye for Happy. Bubble on Jungkook. A lot of protection. That is double bubble right there. And oh dear. I mean, somehow Fearless has to try and get away here, but he gets a nano boost just in time. Fielder to the rescue once more. Winston now back on his feet with a Zaya bubble as well. Wants to push on in. Dante, though, huge Pulse Bomb connection now, and this looks like the gates might finally be open. The Dallas Fuel Dam begins to crack, and Dante now is pressuring in towards the spawn, trying to get real close here, and that's 2 ticks and a half of the Outlaws, and they're almost 4 minutes of time bank. Huge lead for them so far. Doha can't do too much about the Tesla cannon. Fearless tries to dive in as well, but another big biotic grenade connection from Crimzo makes it hard for Dallas to hang around in this kind of heat. See Fielder try and step to the point, but he can't make it, and it's a 1 minute and 21 second lead for Houston.
Yeah, so times get adjusted here as we go into extra innings, so to speak, on Assault. But the Tracer there, the Pulse Bomb, I'm surprised they even kept Fearless alive. I mean, Fearless was so low in that corner, jumps back, Dante, we were on with him, chases him down. The beautiful nano boost there from Fielder, and then a nice biotic grenade. I thought for a second they were going to be able to turn it there, but the Pulse Bomb from Dante is pretty big. It lands on the Fearless, he moves back, some extra damage, some of the players on the Dallas Fueled, and not able to get everybody healed up, recover from that.
Something to note, I think, as well as that, as an Ana player defending on this map, sometimes you're not given great sightlines to heal up your main tanks, just because they might dive in deep and they get stunned. So often, Fielder actually had to play quite riskily. He has to drop off the high ground, he has to try and get an angle on Fearless, for example, to try and heal him up and give him a nano boost and such. So that's a dangerous game to play when you're dealing against Echo Tracer, who can really sort of swarm on you very quickly. So keep an eye on that. If you ever get to spot Crimzo here in this next couple of minutes and see how he needs to reposition to be effective, it's a fine line to tread, right? Trying to stay in a safe position, but also getting enough throughput, because you're playing with a Lucio here or a Brig in some cases where you can't, not guaranteed to always get that healing mat. Here come the fuel though. It's got to be Sombra Tracer with their double bubble.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see a different approach. They don't have the Lucio, so you don't have the speed to get up towards that high ground. Make a play. You're going to play Tracer instead of Reaper here as well. So maybe just trying to go for some more one-on-one isolated plays. Is Happy from behind on Tracer here, just trying to make a play. Gets hit with a whip shot there, knocking him back from Jackson.
You see how he sort of doesn't respect Shield Bash if he knows the cooldown isn't available. He's able to push through still despite. He walks past a Brigitte doing so. Fielder's in a bit of trouble. I think Happy looks to try and capitalize on the Bardic Grenade connection, but there is protection available here. You can see the support stick close together, and Happy gets bonked again. Juby's down already, so Happy's not able to really live up to the dive that Dallas are providing right now, which means they get to begin to capture the point. And Matt, they don't overextend like last time. They play close to the point. Maybe they'll go to the high ground if they have to, but this is much more of a tempered approach to their attack. Here's a nano boosted Fearless.
And do you use nano boosts here? If you're the Outlaws, Crimzo gets taken out by Sparkle, so definitely not. I wonder if Houston probably could have came out with like Dante on the Tracer and then put Happy on McCree here at the start. So you know, the Echo is, there's really no answer for it up in the sky, but still it seems like Dallas just kind of ignoring it, running right by, not really respecting the Echo damage. Just trying to get a pick on the supports.
Yeah, I feel like it's about Dallas getting in and getting the job done before Echo in a longer fight has a chance to have that impact, right? If Dante's being ignored,
yes,
they need to you know, find those picks, get that player advantage before the Echo starts to make their presence felt. Doha, EMP, okay. Catches Crimzo and Juby here, so both the backliners dangerous because there's no burst healing available for them anymore. In fact, the only healing they could have got was Ana's primary fire and the Inspire healing. That's straight up not enough. Nice little Graviton surge there in the back, and that enables them to catch Hanbin. Jex has also gone down, and Piggy's charged! Oh, Doha is living dangerously there. Dante duplicates. Yeah, he could have a Graviton surge here, but he whips it straight over the head, goes Fearless. Was very low, though. Dallas with one tick had to head for the hills.
Still, it's so difficult. Like, maybe you can say, okay, the Echo didn't really pay off on that first point, but right there, being able to pull another tank into the mix, especially a Zarya, right? Just so tanky, being able to bubble his own Zarya and whatnot.
3 bubbles.
Makes it very difficult to take. Yeah, it makes it very difficult to take them out, get the point.
Dante again, playing close to the point. Fearless, the high ground, has to bubble already, and Hanbin needs to find a big Graviton surge. They catch Piggy. Is that enough? He gets nano boosted just for the damage reduction, and he's able to stay alive. He self-shields himself. Fielder goes down, so it's just Jex's healing, and yes, he has to rally in this fight, but you need a lot of healing to deal with what the Outlaws are bringing right now. Fearless is sleeping on the job. Hate to see it from a role star from 2020, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And it looks like the fuel mat are going to have to be satisfied with the one tick for now. Happy gets the EMP, but there's no one to capitalize.
All right, so they do get 40% though on point B, so pretty good progress for the Dallas Fuel, trying to force that 5th map in the series. We'll see what the Outlaws decide to do on offense. Again, I believe they ran the Echo on offense the last time. We'll see if they do it yet again.
Doha, so focused that his eyeballs are touching the monitor. That's right, he was looking real close there. Maybe he was trying to look at Dante in 0.25, you know, see how he was able to pull off that stuff in that previous round. But Dallas,
he's not Brett. He doesn't 0.25 every time he dies. So give me the clip and 0.25.
I mean, look, in the words of Brennan's book, everything is content. So yeah, even if 80% of his stream is 0.25ing, some
even
Smurf
this right now is
platinum,
content.
This could be considered content.
This is content within content. It's
so it's contentception, Matt, is what we're trying to say.
Contentception, yeah, I was going to say that.
Well, Dallas Fuel are going to go for the Echo themselves here for Doha. It definitely feels like they ignored Dante, or had to, based on the way their composition was designed to work. And well, it came back to bite them. As later in the fight, Dante's able to duplicate a Xayah. That adds a lot more durability. It adds 400, well, okay, it adds 200 HP to the pool, plus 2 more bubbles. It's pretty big in those late fights.
So Happy will go McCree. McCree Tracer. We talked about when they had the McCree, I believe they switched to the McCree, maybe the Outlaws on their offense for point B, or maybe they actually ran it all the way through. But the McCree was really effective on the high ground, did a nice job of putting pressure on Doha as well, on the Echo up in the sky. I was going to say, when they were hovering the Genji, I wouldn't have even hated the Genji here, because you get a Nano Blade as you go into point B, with no real support ultimate on the other side. You feel pretty good about it.
I love that from Jungkook. He was playing with his back to the bunker there, just trying to make sure he could pressure Fearless without being in like these nasty sight lines, potentially further back onto the point. So even though he's got his back turned to the action, he kind of, you know, he's aware of what's happening in 360 degrees around him at all times. Doha down early. That's not ideal for Dallas Fuel here. This is dangerous now as the Outlaws start to creep a little closer. This posturing just got a lot more aggressive now, and Dante is at the center of it. The whirlwind here, just dishing out damage, and Fearless has to get a bubble there. He gets nano boosted as well by Fielder, and the Fuel need to find a pick. They need to find a kill, but Juby stays off Fearless once more, and again he falls. The Outlaws now, they are looking proper scary here. Dante's Pulse Bomb may not even be required right now, and great healing given to him there by Crimzo. Keeps him standing. Already 1 tick on point A, Matt.
Well, that's the biggest thing, Mitch. They're going to be able to take this. As it looks like Hanbin may be trying to make something happen from the high ground, but the Outlaws might be able to take this without using any of their ultimates. As there goes Sparkle, Doha's back in the mix, but do you even need to use anything if you're Houston? You can hold on to all these ultimates. They have 6 ultimates potentially going into this second point.
This fight has taken long enough that although Dallas are technically feeding, they're able to build up a Primal Rage, and they get a Pulse Bomb at the very least. Maybe a duplicate on a Winston from Doha could buy some time too, Matt.
Yes, but you have 6 ultimates on the other side and 2 minutes to go. You are in prime position for the Outlaws to win this series.
Piggy, they're quite vocal by the looks of things, as the Outlaws know just how close they are to becoming crowned the new Kings of Texas. The Lone Star Showdown hangs in the balance. Happy gets given a bubble as Piggy's able to peel back, but takes a lot of damage as he turns his own back. Pulse Bomb there, that grab was just for decoration apparently, and Jungkook sleeps on the point, gets given a repair pack, then a Xayah bubble, then throws down his own bubble. A lot of defense for Jungkook. Now he has to make good on that investment. He dodges away. There was a shield bash towards him on the high ground from Jexa, but he definitely avoids it. He has a Primal Rage available, but he doesn't use it, and he goes down.
I mean, that is a huge hold for Dallas. So the grab from Piggy gets absolutely nothing. I believe he tried to actually catch Sparkle with it on the pop.
I'm getting serious Nene vibes from that playoff decider game.
Yeah, and then Juby ends up using the rally, trying to keep everybody up through Fearless's Primal, and they're not able to do so. So they end up burning 2 ultimates there in Dallas Fuel. All they had to do is use Primal Rage. That's allowed them to build up their own rally, their own grab. And then also, just like how Dante turned into a tank with the duplicate, Doha's got it now for the Dallas Fuel. So when it looked really good for Houston, 6 ultimates, 2 minutes to go. Now that the tide shifted, Dallas looks like they could potentially get this
There's a path to victory for Dallas, and it just involves holding off the Outlaws. Here's the Graviton Surge, and it looks pretty darn good for the Dallas Fuel. This may well be happening. The Outlaws get shut down so early. They use a nano boost in that fight. Deadeye's also employed, and the rally is gone. Houston now have to get it done with Primal Rage and Pulse Bomb, the exact ultimates that Dallas were left with after that nasty point A take. Here's where it has to happen. 10 seconds are left for Houston.
You think Dante's going to have to go around the outside, potentially get a touch?
3,
or Django's going to have to use the Primal Rage, try and get a touch on the point here. Okay, Dante gets up.
Pulse Bomb available. Fearless takes a fair bit of damage now. The Outlaws need 40%, and that's all it'll take to win the series here, but they've lost Happy already. Not a good start at all. His last name must be Gilmore, because he'd be furious about that one. There's a Pulse Bomb available for Dante, but he's trying to get away to the Mega Health Pack room. He's able to get topped up. He can still use that, but Jungkook gets hit by a Biotic Grenade, and Crimzo goes down to Fearless's Primal Rage. The Dallas Fuel, they hang in there. Dante knocked to the ground, and it wouldn't be a battle for Texas if it didn't go all the way. Dallas stay alive. They force the map 5.
And in Assault, like, you just have these small windows where you have these advantages, and it comes down to executing well in those fights. And with 6 ultimates going in, the Dallas Fuel, I believe, only had like 3 or 4 at that time. That was the Outlaws' best chance. 2 minutes on the clock. They're not able to get it done. The grab connects with nothing. If they get Sparkle with that grab, I think it's a completely different fight. And Dallas, they get a final
The piggy
map.
grab just looks that much worse after Hanbin decisively uses his own to put Houston in a one-fight scenario. That one's going to sting in the morning, and again, that's sometimes can be inexperience or nerves. Houston so close to ending the series. In fact, they look better for most of that map of Volskaya, but when it counted, Dallas feel fired up. Not a moment too soon. Map 5 is just around the corner. The decider is almost upon us.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Well, it seems as if the script writers in the Overwatch League have shown their hand earlier this season than most. Again, the King of Texas will be crowned in a decider map. Matt goes all the way once more, and again, I mean, couldn't really ask for much more than this for our opening match of 2021's Overwatch League.
I mean, you literally couldn't, right? Between these two teams, high hopes for both fan bases going into this season. Where, you know, usually you don't say, like, the first game is extremely impactful, right? You got a lot of games to go. This season, only 16 games, right? Each team. These early games really can, you know, give your team, like, a big lift going into some of the next matches. So, a lot on the line here in this fifth map as Repel will come in for field.
Yeah, I mean, these are, and bear in mind, these are seeding matches for our qualifying matches for our main melee presented by Xfinity. So, I mean, these are not just like regular average Joe sort of, you know, regular season matches that will just tally up your numbers at the end of the season and see if you mathematically are able to qualify the playoffs. No, this culminates here in a tournament. And the better you perform in these first few weeks, the easier your road is going to be, the less taxing trying to get through that elimination bracket at the end of the month will be. The Outlaws, I mean, they start well on Busan. It's a really back and forth kind of map here, and I mean, this whole series has been map for map stuff. But the Volskaya defense for the Dallas Fuel, I mean, Hanbin had to step up with a huge grab when it was needed just after Picky had made a crucial miscalculation on using one of his to try and catch a Tracer.
If he would have caught Sparkle, though, and he was very close, planting it on that box, it would have been a completely different fight.
Yeah, sure. If Nene had caught the Sombra inside his grab, there would have been NYXL in the playoffs. Just saying.
Oh, let me come on, man.
I'm just saying, bro. Sorry, New York fans. I know. Yes, you're all a bit twitchy these days. I feel it. Don't worry. Guangzhou. There you go. Feel better now? Thought so.
Yeah, a bit better. So we'll see what both of these teams decide to run. I think for Dallas, you're pretty, you know, not going to say lucky, pretty fortunate. You don't see Ruins here early on, right? With how good Javi's Widowmaker is. Potentially could have seen that.
Still might.
So, yeah, still might. On Well, looks like we'll see the Echo from both sides. Probably Tracer as well.
Echo Tracer.
Echo Tracer. Pretty strong composition here.
Both teams playing double bubble. Echo Tracer with the Brig and Ana combination, and they will fight in the pit to begin with. Piggy waits a bit before he gets his charge, and you better believe he gets plenty of it. Holding onto his personal bubble there as Fearless makes a dive in, but it's a big biotic grenade connection from Crimzo that seems to make the difference there. Dallas are able to recover from it though, as Houston don't really apply the pressure and jump. Oh, the stun! Great shield bash from Jexa. They get the Winston, but it's traded out, and the back line of the fuel goes down. It doesn't seem to matter though, as Dallas have enough damage available that the healing doesn't matter.
Yes, Dallas able to push on through that as soon as the main tank falls. It looked like for a second Houston may have been able to make a play out of it, right? Dante and Crimzo both get one each, but I know still the big bodies of, you know, Fearless and Hanbin stay alive throughout. Is not much they can do. Look how aggressive Sparkle is being. Just trying to hunt down. I believe that's Happy still on the Tracer, but Dallas getting close to a pulse bomb and then a duplicate here.
Again, one of your 2020 role stars for DPS, Sparkle. Wants to try and pressure the Echo as much as he can. Tough for Tracer to get onto high ground. She needs to triple blink across to get up there. But once she's there, she can cause problems. Great primal rage from Fearless. I thought he was absolutely done for there, but Dallas are going to continue to increase this lead. Happy was hoping perhaps that Sparkle was around that corner, or
like
Jexa perhaps, but gets no one.
Yeah, I think Jexa is around the corner and going to come, like, walk right into it, and gets absolutely nothing. As Piggy charged up, won't be able to keep that charge. He's getting bashed around by Doha with the duplicate. See, though, he'll have a grab coming back, and just like this, we're up to 50% plus on the point for the Dallas Fuel. They'll also have a nano boost here for Fearless, probably like on the corner, or they can save it for whoever gets grabbed, like if they try and solo grab, like whether it's Fearless or Hanbin.
Repel is very aware of the Tracer that'll be coming for him in a couple moments here. So you see, I mean, this Jexa is just sat on that Tracer. On the Ana, just to make sure it's not possible. Duplicate. Oh, the Zarya. Dante, so aggressive. Grab, not required. That was actually a filthy sequence from him. Just throw it out.
I mean, you usually don't expect Zarya to just come flying down from the sky.
That is fair, yeah.
With a bubble on. But yeah, I mean, Dante really fast. It gets up in the Dallas Fuel's face, and that is something that you are just never prepared for. You also end up having, what, 2 bubbles, plus the Winston bubble for your Winston, so really hard to get Chengdu down. Is Outlaws flip the point rather quickly. Still just about like a, one fight territory here for the Dallas Fuel.
They still have that Graviton Surge available as well. Obviously, that was Dante using one in the previous fight, not Piggy. And Happy going to be dueling on the high ground here with Sparkle, 3 HP. And a Dream, he's able to get away, but for how long? Not very. Sparkle's able to run him down eventually deep in enemy territory, and that Graviton Surge comes in pretty late in the day. It's not really enough. No kills as a result of that one. Juby's able to deal with Sparkle there, and Dante gets involved, but Dallas need to flip this point back pretty soon.
See, Piggy charged up, getting knocked out of the way. That'll be the flip here for Dallas. That's the primal range used from Fearless. Doha coming back, though. Very close to a duplicate. We'll see what he tries to do. Maybe take like, the Winston or the Zarya. Try and make a play.
That stick is, that ends the fight there.
Yeah. No, yeah. Double biotic grenade there from Crimzo towards the end. But yeah, the stick and then the shots in from Dante. Able to take out the first 2 and then the double biotic grenade. Enough to flip the point back to the Outlaws. Still, the Outlaws not with much to work with. They'll have a duplicate, right? But duplicate and grab and nano available for the Dallas Fuel, where only they need one fight to go their way.
Last time Dante had duplicate, he also had grab, technically. So there's still some tools here for the Outlaws to work with. And you'll see Piggy here just trying to make sure he doesn't get knocked off the point again. That would be frustrating. Sparkle down already. So Happy wins that Tracer duel this time. And I wonder how much more Dallas really going to invest in this fight, especially with Doha having duplicated a Winston and now being forced to sleep. maybe Dallas say, Hanbin has no charge? That's a tough one. They're running out of time now.
I mean, and they're so far pushed up on the point. It's not like where they can just back up.
They're going to get double grabbed.
You see Dante
there.
No. Yeah, I mean, this is nasty stuff.
Dante just needs a bit of damage and he'll have another grab available. May not really need it. It's more to... Oh, that's disgusting. That is so disgusting. Well, that's what Echo can do for you right now. And then Doha gets chased down. The Outlaws in control of the point. Dallas unable to flip it back. And so the Outlaws will take the first round after being behind for a considerable portion of it.
Yeah, I think right there towards the end for the Dallas field, they just needed to figure out whether they wanted to keep committing to that fight or back up and try and get with the rest of the team. Because what you saw there is like Fearless and Hanbin just kind of playing in no man's land in the middle of the point, and they're almost just like looking around like, are we going? Are we going to stay? Are we going to commit? And nobody really made a decision there, and that ends up allowing the Outlaws to get on the point, push on forward. Big duplicate there from Dante. I mean, there's nothing you can really do with that many Graviton surges and bubbles coming down. I mean, no set of ultimates is going to save you there.
Watching Hanbin sat in the middle of the points without any teammates and 4 charges. Pretty rough stuff for Dallas. They'll keep the same composition though. And the Outlaws also will be unchanged coming into Lighthouse. And you'll see immediately Happy wants to try and establish a high ground position so Doha can't fly too close to the ground. Zaya bubble. Given to Fearless there. And it will be the Outlaws with the more aggressive posture early.
As they try and push the fuel back, and then they take control of the point. And that's a huge pick. Doha is a large source of the damage, especially from the sky. Just gives Dante free reign now on the Echo. Put down some damage. You see they can't really focus on Happy anymore. So he's just cleaning it up. But Dante with 3 in the fight. So this will be the point that goes to the Outlaws first. If they want it. I mean, they can just leave it. They can just leave it if they want, but most likely they'll go back and cap it.
Okay, so I think there was a lot of discussion about the sort of the flexibility of Dallas Field's DPS coming into this series. And over the course of the series, it hasn't really been an issue. There might be a legitimate DPS diff now, though, on this kind of composition, on this Tracer Echo composition. The Outlaws look like they are way ahead in that regard.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I've actually been pretty impressed with like the Tracer of Sparkle today. Like it doesn't look great in some of these like 1v1s against Happy towards the later half of the series, but he's kind of held his own against both Happy and Dante, who are both very good Tracer players.
Now though, starts to get pretty punishing. The Tracer Echo setup seems to be kind of brutal. Doha's able to deal with Dante at the very least, but this is the Outlaws, 32% and counting. Junku with a Primal Rage now, and there's only so long that Jexa will be protected from these Flying Fists. At least there's a trade across the map as both Winstons sort of lean into their prehistoric sides. 44% and counting. Outlaws still have the point after that spend by Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, they just have so much more map control, regardless. Is the Fuel going to have both their DPS move towards the point? This is a bit dangerous. You're going to have some players split. Be a grab that comes down. Dante with a duplicate.
On the break.
He'll actually take the break, yeah.
I mean, two loads of Inspire healing is good, but both breaks need to be in position doing damage to actually get those Inspire procs, at least a whip shot. And looks like Dante doesn't get any value out of that copy, whereas Doha's able to, copy a Zaya, and there's 2 more bubbles. 1 more for Doha, another for a teammate. That's kind of wrong.
I mean, look, the brig is tanky, but at this point, like, teams know to kind of like, you can focus the brig down, and she's not as survivable as kind of like brig 1.0, as you would call it. Where the Zarya, you just get so much more impact with the bubbles for the teammates.
Oh, Happy takes a ton of damage there. He blinks towards Sparkle and takes a lot of headshots at close range. This is an epic battle. Sparkle eventually able to chase Happy off the point. He picks up a mega health pack. Sparkle's still 120. Has recall available. Uses it. Meantime, Jungu goes down. So Dallas looking good. And Sparkle woke up this spawn and chose violence, apparently. 45% and counting.
So you'll have the Primal Rage here from Fearless. We'll see if they'll try and do a little bit what we saw from Jungu. Try and find a support, knock him out of the way. Big pulse bomb though there from Happy, able to find the Ana. That's a lot of the healing out of the way for
Jet's
Dallas.
just not in any position to heal anybody Out of line of sight even. Hum is able to deal with Happy, but there's no healing for the Dallas Full right now. It might not matter because Fearless has so much health. No need to top it up here. Still needs to respect the charge of the enemy Zarya. And this is nice from Picky, making sure he's not knocked into the window. Fearless had to get that kill, but needs more. And there's just no healing. Sparkle barely avoids a very furry knuckle as he ducks away from the point. Doha's going to stall this out a little bit longer. Dallas, considering they had no supports for most of that fight, too well to get to 80%.
I was going to say, it's really just Sparkle and Fearless that were alive at that point in like a 2v3 scenario. And they were able to extend it pretty far to the point that they may be able to get back on and take it here.
82% and counting. Dallas get the point back, but Houston are so close to a series victory here. Dallas have to be so tight. Good start getting rid of Jungwoo there. Jexa falls down to Happy, but Harmon is very charged. He's just looking for someone to stuff all of this damage. Has a personal bubble available, but Piggy's charged up. He cuts straight through Harmon, shielding. This is not what the Fuel wanted at all. The Outlaws are back in position to retake the point at 99%. The Dallas Fuel are routed, and we have one more fight to decide the entire, potentially, series.
Yeah, when Jungwoo went down, that's when Dante decided to actually copy Fearless. So take control of the Winston. Ends up getting a Primal Rage, knocking some players back. Nano boost for both sides. Rally available as well for the Outlaws early.
Fearless, nano boosted here, but Rappel's gone down early, so Fearless has to do work. Because when he runs out of health, that's going to be it. No one's going to be topping him back up. He has a Primal Rage, and he gets it just in time. It was 1 HP, but it's enough. Jungwoo, though, pursues Doha to the ends of the earth, and Fearless finds yet another kill. Again, the Tracer duel continues on the point, but Jungwoo comes in, interrupts the gentleman's fight, and pushes them away. The Houston Outlaws have done it. As a new sheriff in town, finally, the drought is broken. And the Kings of Texas have been crowned the Outlaws.
Huge series win there for Houston. A lot of people thought this was going to be a close series, go down to the wire. It delivered. Houston in the end pulls it out. And I got to say, that final fight, what both teams decided to do is really interesting. So Dallas put some more emphasis on the point. Obviously, they have to get to the point to try and contest it, take control. But that went on. Now, Jungwoo and Picky, they just went to the back line, dealt with the Repel early with all the support ultimates used at the beginning. Once they dealt with the Repel and their Ana healing wasn't available for the Dallas Fuel, they knew even if Dallas flipped the point, eventually they could just work their way back and take it. So a good strategy there from Houston at the end. It's a benefit of having control of the point at that moment in time.
No doubt about it. I mean, you can see, even with the, you can see now why the Brigettas play so close to these Anas, just to sit on top of them and make sure they don't get dove, because your lack of mobility makes you a very easy target, even with that extra protection of your other support playing nearby. And if you lose that Ana at the start of the fight, the Brig is usually not in position to get a lot of value out of their healing because they're sat on the Ana. They're not playing with the front line. A lot of the time, those tanks are actually outside of Inspire radius, so all of a sudden, what do? You shield bash forward just to get a boost of speed to get closer to your front line and then try and make something happen there. It's brutal. Seeing Ana go down as a first kill, this is one of those metas, I think, where that first pick might be one of the more telling signs in a team fight.
Oh, absolutely, and I think there at the end, it's the Dallas Fuel will actually want that fight by the point. They want to try and drag them back towards the point, get that fight there. But because Houston knows they're so close to winning, you know, the 99%, Dallas had some more percentage on the clock to earn, even kind of get close. That Houston knows, hey, we can give up the point for a little bit. We don't have to contest straight away. So they're able to work their way back to the points after dealing with the support.
I mean, the Outlaws, they're a couple of them out of their seats, of course. What a great way to start the season for this retooled roster. And our player of the match today, presented by Xfinity, is one of the players that this roster was arguably built around. Dante, from start to finish, I mean, he has a difficult assignment. He's taken on Sparkle in the head-to-head, but we knew he'd be a big point of difference. His Trace is incredible, Somra is nasty, and the Echo, definitely really quite scary. Dante, I mean, since day one's been one of the most flexible and versatile players in the league, and this has to be a well-deserved player of the match.
Absolutely, and you feel like he's on a team now where he can really shine and show his skill. We've known Dante for a while, has been a top, tier damage dealer in the league, but he hasn't had the best teams around him to succeed. Well, now he does, and you're going to see performances like this, I think, from Dante throughout the season. Very strong Tracer, great echo play. I really feel like his Sombra turned the tides, especially on Havana.
Yeah, I think that was really where things started to get really unpleasant for Fearless, especially. Not being able to have as much freedom, not being able to pressure backlines nearly as comfortably there because he was dealing with Dante was huge. And Dante gets 11 plays hacked in 2 EMPs for the last 2 team fights. And that's what really allows that momentum for the Outlaws to sort of snowball out of control. Before that, it really feels like Dallas are, starting to control the sort of flow of the series and look like they might be coming out on top. I mean, couldn't be happier to have this game to start us off here in this season, and also to see, a new King of Texas now as the Outlaws able to find the win.
And I'd say for Dallas, it isn't as doom and gloom as I think everybody was kind of pointing towards, or how it was going to look without Exy. Well, I think a lot of people were thinking that way as well. I don't think it's just the desk. If you add a hit scan player to this team, somebody who can come in and play that McCree, play that Tracer, they're right up where we kind of thought they would be. You saw a really strong performance on the tank line today, good rotational use of the supports, and then Sparkle and Doha had their moments, but like I think we kind of expect, there's some holes that you would love to have filled up in terms of your hero pool, in terms of the damage.
I want to ask you though, if there's a hit scan player in this Dallas Field roster, right, do we still see them get played on a map like, a map like Ilios at the end there, or is it still going to be Echo Tracer, which has definitely seemed like the standard for a lot of teams in this double bubble?
Well, I mean, at least you probably would have had the player play Tracer, right? You would have put them into play Tracer, and then you would have had the option to play whether it's. I mean, we don't get to Ruins. What would have happened at Ruins, right? What would you have seen like Happy on the Widowmaker? Sparkle then has to kind of play something like a Genji to get close to make an impact. So you probably would have seen somebody come in there for that.
Well, Houston very pleased to get a victory over their franchise rivals to start the season. And when we return after the break, we'll get to hear some choice words from one of the victors. Crimzo will be standing by with an interview on the other side of these messages.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League. Welcome to our game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves. Zoe here, joined by the entire desk, and more importantly, Crimzo from the Houston Outlaws, who just won his first match of this season. Crimzo, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations.
Thank you. It was a tough match.
Yeah, I mean, it was close. We hoped for a close game, and that's exactly what you and the team delivered. We did see a lot of different looks in terms of heroes and compositions, which might have actually surprised a lot of people watching, because I think a lot of people expected to just see, like, you know, slight variations of rush meta. Is that in line with what you guys experienced during your scrims, or is it unexpected to you as well?
So we knew that Dallas were going to play different comps from the usual in scrims. So basically, we were trying to adapt as much as we could and kind of plan ahead for what they could play. I think overall, in general, we kind of were guessing right in terms of what they would play, but it's about, you know, the execution in the match, because there's no like practice against those kinds of comps because they're the only ones that play it. So it was a little difficult, but we were able to find our footing, and I'm glad that we pulled it out at the end.
You guys did great. All right, my question. Hi, Crimzo.
Hello.
So I had a quick question about your newest head coach, Jeongbuk, who was previously with the San Francisco Shock. How did the two-time championship coach Jeongbuk impact the team ever since he came in?
He's definitely helped in the sense of like the experience, obviously, of like, you know, he has the knowledge of knowing like what, you know, inside of a championship team looks like, and the kind of stuff that they did to get where they were. And I think he provided a lot of valuable information for us to use and to kind of insert into like the foundation of this team. And I think we definitely couldn't have won this match without Jeongbuk.
Yeah, like it must be incredible to have sort of that knowledge and add that extra element. I do want to, you know, as a fellow Dallas Fuel retiree, I guess, this match must mean a little bit more to you, right? You've been very public about it, you know, being a little criticizing of how Dallas has done things. Does this mean a lot to you? Is this an important win?
It's definitely an important win, because I mean, not just because like they're my past team, but it's because it's the first match of the season. I know typically, I mean, coming into the season, we were kind of like unknown team. Like people didn't know what to really expect since we had a couple of rookies coming in. But it's definitely very nice to get to beat the Fuel, and I'll be very happy later tonight.
Hey, Krim, so Reinforce here. Congratulations on the win today. Obviously, big for you. I had the opportunity to scrim with you a couple years back when you were still fighting in Contenders. I was way past my due date. I was feeding my brains out. But I could tell that you were a very special talent back then. So I'm really happy to see you have all this success in the Overwatch League. Obviously, last year, maybe not the year you wanted, but this time, new team, new environment. It seems like you guys are really gelling and performing really well. Talking about you, though, individually, there are great flex supports in this league, and obviously you're fighting and practicing every day to take a step up compared to some of those flex supports. Can you become one of the best flex supports in the league, and what do you have to do to get there?
Ooh, it's a tough question, but you know, I really do believe that I can be really good, and I know the things that I need to be working on to, you know, get to that level. I can't quite say that I'm there right now exactly, but I do have a lot of confidence in myself, and I do believe that I can become one of the best flex supports in this league, you know, Western or not. But it's just about, you know, how bad do I want it, and how much am I going to put in to get it.
For sure.
Love it. Well, there we go. Confidence as well as being humble. That's the makings of a winner. Crimzo, thank you so much for joining us. And once again, congrats to you and the entirety of the Houston Outlaws. What a great performance. What a great first showing from you and the team. And well, guys, now big picture nitty gritty talk is happening now, because we do want to talk a little bit about the match we just got to actually watch. So Costa, maybe starting with you and your first impressions from the Dallas Fuel. Obviously, there was the big question marks around them not having a hit scan player. Do you feel like that actually visibly impacted them in their performance today?
Yeah, I think Crimzo said it well. They weren't expecting Dallas to come out and sort of play this brawl style. It's not playing to their strengths, and you saw what Dallas tried to do. They didn't want to play around that hit scan player without Exi being in that lineup anymore. We see them play more of that double bubble dive Winston a lot of the time, and you can see just how oppressive it is. It even forced Houston to switch into the mirror, which, Dallas was this close on so many different maps from, closing out rounds, closing out maps. So this could have gone either way. I'm really excited to see how Dallas is going to take this loss and adapt and get better.
Yeah, at the same time though, I think that Houston Outlaws, they could have won this series more dominantly. This was a different Houston Outlaws from what we've seen in the past. Usually there's some hesitation going on, there's some unforced errors when it comes to the Houston Outlaws. This time, it's a new team, it's a new season, and they look way more polished. They have way more patience in the game. There's more discipline, and it starts with the tank line. Django and Piggy, I think, had a really good game overall. We saw when they were playing the Reinhardt compositions that they were able to take these very slow fights. They weren't afraid to give Dallas Fuel both time and space, because they believed in their decision making. They believed in Happy's ability to play some of those hit scan roles in the Hangzhou, and they were going to win that way. So it's a very different Houston Outlaws we're seeing this year, and actually brought me a lot of confidence for their matches moving forward. I like the game they're playing so far, and they can improve upon this even more.
One last thought here from you, Costa. During the match, you kept on mentioning the tank line from the Houston Outlaws. They are the two new players that are rookies coming into it. Are you impressed with what you saw so far?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of the criticism for the Houston Outlaws' new tank line is, they are going to be good in the brawl, but are they going to be able to match up against the dive? They just went up against Fearless and Hanbin, two of the best tank lines two of the best players in a tank line in the league, and they showed it on all different characters. They played double shield, they played brawl, they played double bubble dive. They did it all, and they looked solid. As Johnny said, the discipline from them was the thing that stood out the most. I vaguely remember a moment on Busan's second point where they were going to lose the fight, but because Piggy and Django had the presence of mind to disengage a little bit and then re-engage with their respawners, they end up winning that point. Those are the things that make a championship team, and I'm excited to see that from the Houston Outlaws.
Yeah, and I think both teams showed us some promise there, so lots to look forward to. What a great match to start off the season, but of course, there is more. We're going to have the action continue to roll on opening day of the 2021 Overwatch League season. Up next, we do have a highly anticipated match. That's right, back-to-back defending champion San Francisco Shock are going to take on the LA Gladiators. Those are two teams everyone is rating really, really high, of course, coming into the season. And very importantly, we're going to see Moth facing off against his former teammate. So it's time to make our Xfinity powerful connection for the week. Guys, I want you to tell me in great detail just how much of an addition is Moth to the Gladiators and how much of a loss is this actually to the San Francisco Shock?
Oh, who wants to start? Because I was the original Moth stan, so maybe I can go first because I've looked up to Moth for such a long period of time. He was the best main support in the league on that San Francisco Shock team. But the thing that I'm most excited about is I think it's so easy to be overshadowed by the rest of the San Francisco Shock team because they are all so good. So Moth wasn't really talked about as much as some of the other players. So now Moth is making this transition to the LA Gladiators and has to play against his former team. Now it's time to prove to everybody that he is the best main support in the world, that he can do it all on any team, no matter who's around him.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. Someone said it on Plat Chat. I can't remember who I'd credit them, but they said that obviously this is a great opportunity for perhaps a main support to actually win MVP of the league. And Moth, making the transition over from San Francisco Shock over to the LA Gladiators. If the Gladiators have a great season, Moth is obviously going to be instrumental to their success. And we've never had a main support win the Overwatch League MVP. It's what everyone is talking about on Reddit. And if that narrative can continue to propel itself forward, especially with the Gladiators doing well, Moth is so important to the Gladiators and to the main supports of the league that he could actually make a case to become the first main support to win the Overwatch League MVP. So that's how important Moth is to this Gladiators team.
Yeah, some might say he's cracked or crunchy. I prefer crunchy. And you know why? Because that's a perfect transition to crunch time, presented by Cheesy Boost. I know you all missed it.
Oh, yes.
I know, right? Didn't we miss that? I'm ready for this. Well, it is time, so of course, let's just make the entirety of that match our crunch time. Who do you guys Who do you guys think is going to win this East Coast showdown? I'm going to go first, and I have to go with the Shock. I think you just can't ever rule them out. And honestly, even though they lost some instrumental pieces, I still think they have to be the favorite. They still have such a stacked core line. So I still have full faith in them. But honestly, I would also not be surprised if Gladiator is going to make a good run for it. Danny, how about you? Who do you see the winner?
San Francisco Shock, back-to-back champions, no doubt.
No doubt.
Whoa, no doubt.
No doubt. 3 times.
No doubt.
No doubt. You
have doubt.
No, I agree with you, Soy. I think it is very hard to make a case to go against the San Francisco Shock. So I have no reason to do what I'm doing, but I actually think the Gladiators are going to get this one. I think that this is going to be the Gladiators season. San Francisco Shock started slow last season, and they didn't look as good when they were playing the May. I think if Gladiators can play their game, their players step up to the level that we know they can get to, I think they can win this match. I'm going for the Gladiators.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to the Screenbox Exchange and the commissioner Yiska, who has all the insight, you probably would go with the LA Gladiators here. But I gotta go back to what Dennis said. It's a two-time champion, the San Francisco Shock. I don't think you can actually put too much doubt in them. I think a lot of us predicted the Houston Outlaws in the series earlier because of Screenbox and because of what we heard. But when it comes to the San Francisco Shock, you cannot bet against them until you've actually seen some matches live and you have the data in front of you. So I gotta stick with the Shock. They've been dominant for 2 years, and I hope they kick off with a good start here in the first matchup of this season.
I generally believe that opinions will be split on this one. There was a lot of hype for the Gladiators. Remember, everyone, head on over to pick'em.overwatchleague.com to get your picks in as well. And once more, a reminder that the winner of those pick'ems will, at the end of the May League tournament, win $500 and a statue of May. That's right. For now, that's it from our game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves. We're now bringing back in Mitch as well as Matt. Guys, who are you rooting for? Is this a hard one to pick, or do you think it's obvious?
I wonder about the backline of the Shock here, whether they're going to be as stable with, with FD God being a sort of more of a chaotic, aggressive addition, Matt.
Yeah, I think that's an entirely good point. I think it's hard to bet against the Shock. Johnny mentioned the point about Moth. He didn't want to mention that I made that point.
No credit to Matt.
It would have been fine.
To be honest, I can't really remember what Matt says most of the time, so I'm sorry, Matt.
me either.
It probably reflects your personality.
I can't remember what I say most of the time, so I mean that's a bunch of us.
All right, well, there it is. So it's a heart versus head kind of thing, Custer. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I listen to Scott every once in a while, not too often. There, he's excited though. If he's like the only one that picked the Gladiators on the desk. If they win, he looks great. If they lose, he's like, oh well, the two-time champions are over there. It's not that big of a deal.
Exactly.
All right. Well, the players are actually waiting on us for once. That's quite a nice change. We'll say goodbye to our crew over at Watchpoint and get ready to jump into this one, Matt. Again, I think that's kind of one of the biggest topics, though, is that no one is underestimating Moth's impact on the Shock. And yeah, they started slow, but Moth's one of those players that played Lucio so much, and everyone is still like, this guy's a god. This guy's a really high-impact player.
Well,
whereas FD God was all about getting those kills.
I think the reason why the loss of Moth is really talked about more at the beginning of the season, at least right now, is because of like the rush style